gotta leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Bode.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking I'm more to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below, then head up top, smash that like, repost, bookmark on the day space. We would greatly appreciate it. It does warm up the algo and does us a real solid. You all crushed the reminders for today's space, the Good Vibes Club. They be vibing. Pushed close to 100 reminders for the space today. Would love the same support for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday show. That's up top all the way to the right as well. And as always, I'm Captain, my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in this show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky. Meme coins exception risk. And go to zero memo signs. Please don't put any money in. You can't afford to lose. Know that Steve and I hold tokens we talk about from time to time, including VIBESTR that we'll be talking about here this morning. It can't go to zero because it is part of the Vibe wheel. I kid. It all can go to zero. Please don't take our bullishness to heart. Do your own research, all that fun stuff. Never any financial advice here, but that's what I get for trying to do one off cheat, Steve. My brain had a fart. But how you doing, sir? GM.
Doing all right. Markets down. We'll talk about those in a little bit. I mean, look, the markets are really volatile right now. A lot of volatility sort of finding their what's that?
Good time to LP.
And I could pin that to the top if I were on stage. But we will we'll do our best there to
good looking PFP too.
Oh yeah. We got a couple Vibe PFPs going, which is good. Hopefully this worked. It didn't. Classic. It's remarkable to me. We talk about this before, so this is good cold open material. I mean, I find myself shocked that spaces, and I know streaming is big, and I get spaces are such a unique property of X. See if this works.
I really thought there'd be a big investment following last election season because they used it so much. I mean, you had million people streams. Like it was kind of like it feel honestly, they did some shortly after the Elon acquisition, there was some adjustments, some changes made. And I don't like, am I right in thinking like there really hasn't been any updates other than like maybe some break fix stuff for like the last couple of years?
But I mean, the fact that it's like, I still to this day, it's like you start a space, I go up as speaker, you add me as co-host, it kicks me off. It's remarkable. Remarkable. Like it's remarkable to me. It's like this has been around since 20.
Go ahead, finish your thought. Then I had it
been around since 2022. Like I was gonna say, it's been around for like 3-4 years, and it was used in the election season. It's a great medium where if people actually want to talk directly to people, they have the ability to do it. You can
big enough for sports.
I'm
genuinely surprised, like Barstool or some of the big personalities, like it is perfect for the drive time radio sports that we grew up to. Like this stuff still exists kind of, but like and maybe it's just they already have their big contracts and they're prohibited from other platforms until they get deplatformed or fired. They're not going to do it. But like a Pat McAfee show, a live show on Spaces would be electric.
And Pat McAfee, by the way, did host Spaces during the COVID time. I remember because NFTs Anonymous sold him, was trying to sell him on an ape at one point.
Rocking an ape again, by the way. I don't know what it means, but
yeah. I mean, it's, hey, I mean, like everybody's finding community, doing their thing, finding who they are. But
I don't get it though. I truly don't get it. We should have him on just to ask him someday.
Like what the journey was and what the deal was.
Life-changing money on apes, proceeds to FUD apes, becomes part of like I don't know if he went as far as like Polly and Ryder, but pretty darn close. Flooded the living shit out of apes. Not just apes, by the way, like a Mega Mutant, like I'm pretty sure made well over $1 million on apes. And then we just FUD them for no reason. And now back rocking ape PFP. I don't get it.
Well, certainly did do that actually. So that's not it was with Paulie and Ryder before they sort of used him and then sort of used him and sort of pushed him aside, which was kind of sad the way that they did that. Like, but no, I mean, different situation. I mean, I don't want to talk about individuals, especially like I don't know what they've been through, what they've changed and anything. Just haven't had those conversations in a while. Seems like a through and through NFT guy. Yeah, and has made a lot of money in the space. So who am I to say? Has probably done better than me from a P&L perspective as far as sales and things go. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting market. It's one that
I dropped in the war mode. If you saw, I'm gonna have to stop listening to Modern Market. I'm dead serious. I love those guys, but I can't. I'm an eternal optimist. I'm a permabull. I understand you can't be just blindly bullish all the time. But I don't think the cycle's over. Nothing has changed fundamentally, like other than time. But we still have tremendous tailwinds. We still have tremendous fundamentals. There's uncertainty in the market, which uncertainty is going to lead to volatility. I do not think this thing is over. And I don't know, like last week or so, I felt like it's doom and gloom. It's put me in a bad mood. And it's like my pregame for this show. And I just don't want to come to the show in a bad mood, but it's like, fuck. I can't in my life, I don't, and I'm not saying they're negative individuals. They're being realist and they're sharing their opinions and their view on the market. I'm not a fan. And it's funny. It was hilarious to me because B-Check even said it this morning. He's like, it's bad for business. It's bad for no one wants to turn into a show that's all like doom and gloom or it's over or time to stable up. Like it's not fun. And while that might be prudent, it's just, I'm not even joking. I'm probably going to stop tuning in for a while just because it puts me in a bad headspace before this show. And I don't want that to be the case.
It's just interesting because I feel like, well, I mean, look, and this is like modern market is how I start my day every day. So I'm saying this.
It's also very different. If you've made 7 figures plus this cycle and you're protecting your wealth, then yeah, you probably should be doing that. This cycle's been okay. Certainly nothing to write home about. Not even remotely close to last cycle. And I'm still swinging. I'm definitely not going to just stable up and go home. I'm not in that spot. Even remotely.
I was going to say, I think that's part of it where I'm not trying to like this is like going to sound, I'll just kind of give it, because I think people know I love those guys. We've had them on the show. We enjoy them. I think the thing with modern market that I sometimes run into is that I think they have done really well in the past couple cycles. Like you hear a lot of like very intelligent conversation about, deep market insights, but also about the way they do investing. Well, I am not financially in a position to do investing the way they do investing. Never have been. I live in the United States where I have limitations. I'm not an accredited investor, all those good things. And so, I think sometimes that tunes it out a little bit. I think, go ahead.
I bet you qualify as accredited investor if you really wanted to.
I don't think so, but even if I did, I'm not even sure how.
Between your house, your 401k, I bet you're.
No, because accredited investor doesn't include like house and stuff. It has to be like liquid. There's something about it. Like it doesn't include your house, it doesn't include your car, it doesn't include like, I don't think retirement money. Like it has to be like, I think it's like $1 million in worth, but doesn't include all the things that we mentioned. So that's where it's like, I don't think it works, but I'd have to look into it. I never have, but it's fine. But I guess there's that aspect of it. I think there's the aspect of like, like I think a lot of people in the market, like our show is like very similar to theirs in the sense that like we care about like giving deep insights. Like I pinned to the top if people are interested in how to LP, by the way, like liquidity pool, like instructions up top. Any love on that video, always appreciated. I think it's also like, I'm not going out, like they're trying to maximize their money in the best way possible. I get it. I don't know that I'm rushing out to buy gold and track the silver markets and, things that are deep like that I'm just not quite as interested in that. So I think it's a very good show as far as like, they're really smart. They're moving their money across all sorts of markets. They're very successful. I think they're very thoughtful about how they approach it, but I also think, yes, financially, they're probably in a different position than a lot of us and a lot of other people, that they're able to manage the markets in some different ways. Like, again, like to give you the example, and again, this is me like loving the space and loving the people who are crazy in this space. When Legendary's like, I pulled a, $40,000 Pokemon card and I only spent $19,000 to do it. Whatever that number, it's like most people are not spending $19,000 ripping a card on the new big shiny thing that may or may not be super safe, doing his own research, understanding his money, or talking about like, oh man, I got liquidated for 7 ETH on this thing, or what. Like those sorts of conversations, I think are foreign to a lot of people. And so I think if you have that amount of money to potentially pull, lose, etc., like yeah, playing the stablecoin game probably makes a lot of sense. I think it's hard because I think I think one of the things they do a little bit really well, but maybe like not as much, is like have those conversations about any stage of the market. Like for me, I LP, like remember when I was doing loans on Liquidium? The reason I was doing loans on Liquidium wasn't because I was like rich and trying to be a loan shark. It was because I didn't have enough Bitcoin from where I stood and I wanted to earn more Bitcoin. And the way I could earn more Bitcoin was on very low cost Liquidium things where I'm making $10 here, $5 here on a loan, or liquidated and selling to try and earn more Bitcoin. Like, so I think like those sorts of things are like any stage of the market isn't always there. So I think I think for a lot of people, like doom and gloom is actually an optimal market state because it means that they can make the most money or they can stable and they can kind of hang out till next part. I don't think it works for everybody. So I don't know. It's like, it's not meant to be like anything bad or anything like that. It's just, I think like to your point on the doom and gloom, to your point on like sort of how certain things work, I don't think it applies to everybody. And also to your point, I'm not trying to be some fucking permabull. It's just, I don't think we're remotely over.
I mean, they said this morning, it's just the sentiment is changing with the wind. Like it is following price action. And that's just like, that's not good in either direction. Like it's just, things are insanely volatile, but other than price action and a whale shorting the market and, Trump's tweeting something today and he'll tweet something else on Friday. Like nothing's changed. We're still in the most favorable crypto environment in history. We're still having, institutional buyers, shattering records from ETF net inflows and, don't look now, but Tom Lee and Bitmine are over $12 billion of ETH. They're only halfway to their stated goal. It's just like, it's not going to be enough to offset like down volatile days, but they keep going. They're not changing course. By the way, you are correct. Primary residence excluded, but all your retirement stuff counts, or just 200K a year.
Yeah, I guess, and look, I'd love to be an accredited investor, so maybe I'll have to look into what it is. Like, I still don't think I'm quite there, but I'll check on all my stuff. Like, I think my primary residence is what I would need to get there. But like, yeah, I mean, like, and BFX point, the economy is not in a good place. I mean, I largely agree. I don't think we're like in a great economic setup. I think we're in a very poor, volatile economic setup. I think we're, continuing to exacerbate some economic problems. It's a whole nother conversation. And I'm not like, I'm very nervous about directionally where the country is going on things, like not like on a political spectrum as much as like, just seems like it seems like where the internet and how things are moving and how now bots and things can exist. So like sometimes people are getting in arguments online with people who aren't even real people. And I think
every day it's happening.
Yeah. I think that where tensions are like, people say hyperbolic stuff, like we've never been more divided as a country. It's like, look, the civil rights movement happened. Like we were more divided as a country for sure.
We had a civil war.
We had a civil war. Yeah.
Like we literally brothers killing brothers over state lines. Like that happened in this country not that long ago. Like in the big scheme of things, it wasn't like ancient history that happened.
Yeah. So like we're not more divided than ever, but it feels like we're getting more divisive than we had been. Like it definitely feels like I remember growing up, like people who were liberals and conservatives in my life who were adults having a beer together and having a debate and then laughing about it. And I feel like now people are like, if you disagree with my political views, I can't be friends with you. I mean, I've gotten in these discussions. We've talked about it. I've gotten discussions with people in my real life where like I'm politically homeless and don't know where I stand I kind of in between on a lot of things because I consider myself relatively reasonable.
Steve's rooting for Stephen A. Smith.
What's that?
Steve's rooting for Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun to watch him light stuff up. But I don't know, like when I say things like, I don't know, like Charlie Kirk wasn't a fascist, even though I disagreed with a lot of his points. People are like, oh, well, you're just, what are you, like a white supremacist, like doesn't like the civil, and like then people bring up something they heard on TikTok where like he didn't like the civil rights movement. I'm like, no, he made like a cogent argument against the Civil Rights Act being bad for people like of color, but like don't really agree with it and think he goes to some reductive reasoning, but like doesn't matter. And then I'll go on the other side of that and I'll be like, yeah, it's not great to send like a National Guard to a state and a city that doesn't ask for it. And people are like, what are you like? You don't respect law and order. And I don't see why it's so bad. And it's just like, I feel like we're just in this divisive place where you just can't have like an intelligent conversation with someone without them getting passionate about it and tying their identity, their ideas. So, anyway, like, so I do think that doesn't help. And the economic setup isn't great, but I think the crypto market is set up really well. Like we have an emerging market. And I said this before yesterday, like I've said this before many times, like we're in this spot where like there is a real chance where this is the generational opportunity for anybody who's a millennial and younger, not saying like older or younger people can't get involved in it or older people can't get involved in it, but like for people who like just are dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and we blink, there's a chance, again, it's not financial advice on the show. We always say there's a chance we blink in 10 years and we're like, man, you could have just bought and held anything and it would have done well for you. You didn't need to trade around the market or get really cute with it. Like, so yeah, like, I don't know, like the doom and gloom stuff, I don't get going into more ETFs, more institutional buying, more institutional adoption of blockchain, period. I don't get it. It doesn't track with me. And I'm waiting for someone to give me solid reasoning why I should be bearish on this market. On this crypto market, and I don't have it. I can't get it. I'm looking for someone to make a case on the other side. I think part of it is people just want to say my gut is the market's topped and put it on Twitter and then get a better Twitter payout because everyone will yell about it. And I don't know if people
every time there's a flash crash, they can take the victory lap. Oh, I told you so. It's like, no, man, you've been bearish every day for the last 2 years. Like you're going to be right on a down day. You're still completely wrong over the last 2-year run up.
Yeah. It's just not I don't know. It doesn't like follow for me. Like I'm personally like, I'm waiting for a convincing reason why the crypto market is not going to be in a good spot when we have a crypto-friendly regulations, a crypto-friendly, administration. It's just, I don't know. Like it doesn't track to me. I'm not, and like I'm not trying to like say like anybody's wrong. Like, and I think people are also, I think timeline matters. Like some people might think we're going to go down in the short term, so you want to play, but like, I'm just not one to be like, hey, stable up and pick a bottom. Like if we're entering a recession or something, like, okay. Or if we're entering a time when crypto's really absolutely crashing and there's like an FTX situation and you can like stable or get some money off some platforms. Okay. But like, I don't know. I
don't know what it means, Steve, but talking bull markets, I just got a good morning pudgy penguin with a heart like this via text. I don't know what it means.
From
corporation thesis is real.
From the lady. Very nice. Look, I guess like that said, like maybe we just run a market update, do some death fund runs, talk about kind of where we're at with a couple of things. Monad airdrop, I guess, coming today.
Couple hours. Intern said like T-minus 2 hours. So I think it might be, I was thinking it was noon today, but it's looking like it might be during the show.
All right. Well,
Monad card going to be anywhere from 10 cents to 10 grand.
I appreciate the hopium here of like the Monad card. I don't even know if I'm getting anything for the Monad card, right? I mean, like people are like, oh, you're going to get
wallet, right?
What?
You registered your wallet, right?
I have no idea if I registered my wallet. Okay. I don't even know what I'm supposed to have done. Like on the Monad.
In all seriousness, you should, if you haven't already, make sure you link your wallets to the to Wallchain. They've got a deadline as of today, and let me go grab it. I think we may have a free flipper opportunity on Telegram stickers. Did you see this?
No.
So there is you need to do this today as well. You got to connect. You do going to have to go buy something in Ton. Cutoff is tonight at 11:59 Eastern, but basically it's a gated Telegram sticker, which I'm not into, but it's 1 ton, so it's like $2. And I don't know. I'm gonna go mint one and flip it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like I'm trying to find the stuff that I want to keep up with in general and the stuff that like gets me excited right now. Like we're going to talk VIBESTR today. That's stuff that gets me excited. Like I think a lot of people look at it. They're like, how, where's the edge to make money, which you're always looking for sure. But like part of the reason I'm here is because it's fun. Like I'm excited about, I know you're not like, we're not going to relitigate this whole one, but we're like, however many hours from OpenSea chest, right? It's like, I'm excited to open my chest and see what's inside in 1 day and 3 hours, right? Like I just made it to the Ruby chest just barely. I may, I'm not going to get up to the Ember chest. So it's like, I'm probably going to get, but like, who knows? Like maybe I'll get a squiggle. I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a bunch of ETH. Maybe I just don't know. But like, I think that there's like a lot of like fun opportunities, man. Like, I like doing that stuff. I like Good Vibes Club. I like the Vibe Wheel. I like NFTs. I like the utility. I like, things like I'm going to play in a poker tournament in Vegas in a couple of weeks. Like this stuff excites me. Like I care about like the actual consumer aspect of the space. And like, yeah, I want to make money and do all that. It's like, I want to find ways to do it that's fun. And I don't know, like what, I think like a lot of people have lost their way as far as like, part of what brought us in this space is like we can, potentially make money together and have fun together all at the same time. And I think we've just gotten very serious in that sense. But all right, so what's 1300 UTC? Let's look at that because that's when the Monad airdrops happening, or Monad as some people call it. So it's happening in half hour. So we'll see. We'll have Good Vibes Club coming on the show right as it happens, and we'll figure out if we're getting cash. Like I said, I think people are overestimating, like I know you're like, people are like, oh my God, you're going to get 5 figures for that Monad card. I'm like, I think there are people who have been doing stuff on that and ranking on leaderboards and things who are going to get they're absolutely going to cook. I think I'll probably get like a burger and fries and I'll be plenty happy about that. So we'll make it work. But, Cap, let's do a daily market update and then we can get into maybe some death fund runs. We can talk about whatever you want to hit on today and we'll figure it out from there.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on 8 chain, we bring in the heat. NFTs, fence alpha, never miss a beat. Ape chain on top, now we bring in the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, my head top, but you want the time to chop cough for one time.
It is time for the daily market update powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs. ApeChain has it all, bringing fun, culture, and community to the blockchain, as well as Project Raid, which is bringing, again, I pinned to the top. If you scroll a couple over, you want to learn how to LP ApeCoin on Hyperliquid. I got a link for that, so you can check it out if you're interested. It's for beginners and people who maybe don't know how to do it. So got that pinned up top. But daily market update. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. Cap, how the market's looking? Are they up at all since the show started?
We've not got the coffee with Captain Pump yet, although my ApeCoin long not only has it not been liquidated, it is still slightly in the profit. And despite Ape being down almost 7% on the day. Looking at the other coins, we're going to start with majors, actually. Bitcoin down 3% to 111,226. ETH lost 4K. It's down 3% to 3963. XRP down to 244, down 5% on the day. Solana up 1% on the red day. It's at 194. Doge down 4% to 19 cents. Cardano, it's no longer a stable coin, down 5% again to 67 cents. 85 cents seems like an eternity ago. Holy moly, runes are bleeding out double digits. Regular memes, Sheeb down 4%, meme core flat. It just never trades with the market. I don't know what it is. Pepe down 4%, Pingu down 4%, despite me getting the good morning Pingu gift this morning. Pump down 6% today. Looking at
Pump has been murdered, by the way. It's been very, very that's one where I have some unit Pump that I was kind of sitting in spot with. You talk about getting killed on some stuff. Side note, like Pump, which I felt feel really good about. Pump's market cap is down to 1.3 bill, and it's down 40% in a week. And there's a lot of stuff, like obviously Aster's down a ton and a lot of stuff down like 10, Pudgy Penguin down, Pudgy down 30% in a week, a lot of stuff, ApeCoin down quite a bit there as well. But like, I guess thing is like, I'm surprised Pump's bleeding out so hard given the product and what they are. And you just have to think like at some point, I don't know, like Rec down another 10% on the week at some point. Are these going to send? I don't know. Anyway, keep going. But it's just an observation. That's one of the ones that's absolutely getting killed right now.
Gemesis are sending up 15% as everyone preps for that OpenSea farm or end of season rewards. 0.03. Pixcats looking like an OpenSea farm themselves on base. Good Vibes Club. We're going to have Ty and Chris on here in a bit. If you haven't given us some love on the space, we greatly appreciate that. Get the room warmed up for them. Pulled back a little bit, down 6% of the day to 0.75. 5 ETH. Moonbirds up slightly to 2.77. Apes up 6% on the day to 7.95. Gas Wars by Jack Butcher up 6% to 0.35. Little Pudgies flat at 0.92. Far World Creatures, another OpenSea farm, I believe. Pudgies up 2% to 7.6. And the leading OpenSea farm, DX Terminal, up another 23% in the day. That's all you had to do this cycle to be a winner was launch a $5 NFT collection with unlimited supply on base and make sure it gets farmed. And you're going to make a few $100,000 for doing nothing other than just riding the tails of OpenSea and their favorite farm. Steve mentioned season 1 ends tomorrow, and this is going to be bloody as we'll have $10 million of NFTs dumped into bids, I presume. Not all 10 million, but I'm guessing a lot of those NFTs get sold off into the market tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll be there's a good chance it'll be a rough day for NFTs tomorrow with those boxes, just with people selling. I'm sure there'll be a lot of them, but honestly, like it's weird because it shouldn't be enough to like unless people like follow trends, it shouldn't be enough to brick floors too hard. I mean, that reward pool, which is at $10 million plus now, they added another Punk yesterday. So they got about $2.1 million in ETH. $630,000 in Solana, $300,000+ in Hype, $500,000+ with 5 Bitcoin in there, 10 Pudgy Penguins, 9 Bored Apes. So even if people dump into bids, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, 9 Pudgy Penguins, or 10 Pudgy Penguins, that's just a normal loan liquidation based on what we've been seeing lately. 10 Moonbirds and so there's some stuff out there for sure. I do wonder, if, and I don't know anything, but I do wonder, the NFTs coming out of the box creates for a really fun one. I wonder if people talk about the OpenSea rewards. I do wonder if there's a world where they just get a few grail prizes, like the punks, the apes, etc., and then just do everything else in tokens. Because, I feel like most people don't have this negative connotation about selling tokens as much. Yes, you don't want your tokens to go down, but if they just buy a bunch of fungible tokens, or is there a world where they buy and hold half or something, so they take some off the market, the equal amount off the market that they're selling? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I had this conversation. I was trying to have this conversation with D Farmer, who was just trying to talk about the program, and that's where that French ape got kind of rude with me and was just I don't know what's so hard for you to understand. I'm like, no, I understand. I'm asking hey, how would you do it if you were doing it differently? Because the rewards program's great. And I think D Farmer's solution is just have the best product and work. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of products like this do have reward system. Delta's the best product. They still love my Sky Miles. So I wonder if it's a fungible token thing where it's people have an emotional tie to NFTs by design. People feel strongly about the communities they're in, and they should. So I don't know. I wonder, because I feel they give away $2 million worth of Ethereum or whatever it is. People sell that or keep it or whatever. I don't think people are as upset about that as if somebody sells 10 Bored Apes or 10 Pudgy Penguins. It has a different feeling to it. So I don't know. I wonder if there's something to that, but I don't know, Cap. What do you got on your tick list today before we keep running through? I know a Good Vibes Club. We got a Death Fund run coming. We talked about the Monad airdrop coming up in about a half hour. So we'll see what that looks like. What do you got on today?
Yep. Monad. Everyone, all eyes on Monad this morning, and seemingly looking like we might get a few more announcements. I don't think Mega ETH's going to have their TGE, but I think we might get maybe a win or a better better idea when that might be coming. And I mentioned make sure you add your add your wallets to Wall Chain. That's another TGE that seems like it's coming soon. And then anyone holding an ape, probably worth going through those steps pinned up top to make sure you qualify for that. Obviously, it is a claim day. Just proceed with caution. Only use the official site, claim.monad.xyz. Get that from the official handle. No one's going to DM you. No, it is just be extra safe. Be head on a swivel today. Airdrops bring out the scammers left and right. And if you have any issue with the claim, just be patient. Don't FOMO into anything. Good reminder is we've been out of stealth drop season. Oh, the other thing, speaking of stealth drops, is, and maybe we'll hold this and do the deeper talk when we get Ty and Chris on to get their opinions. But the TokenWorks, they're changing how they're going to market. So let me just get from their mouths directly. But essentially, whereas previously, the last one, it was a cohort of 5 that they announced, and you knew when they were coming. They did say 12 hours ago that additional strategies are coming soon. However, slower cadence and no pre-announcements. So whether they announce a few or whether they launch a few at a time or just one at a time and they spread them out, but there's not going to be any pre-announcements. They're just going to go live with it. So it'll prevent the flippers from attempting to front run the run up in NFT floors. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Will the NFT floor still pump? I think partially going to have to do with what the collection is and how involved. I think the founders who embrace strategy and TokenWorks and NFT strategy will probably perform better than those who don't. I also think those without a native token probably perform better than those with. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Any guesses on what might be the next strategy to launch?
I don't know. I don't know, but I do know. I do know that like I appreciate that. Look, I mean, like I think on a macro level, what I love, and we'll talk about with Ty and Chris today. I love that they embraced it. To your point, they're experimenting, but I think just in general, like the TokenWorks model, it's like they're trying to do something that is different and fun, and they didn't just launch it, make a bag, and call it a day. Like they keep changing mechanics. They're trying to make it more aligned with what they're trying to do. Like I love that they keep thinking about it differently. Like, hey, slower cadence, more to come. Trying to be thoughtful about it. Like I enjoy the fact that like experimentation to me is sort of at the heart of the space, and you don't see a lot of that. And like that's one of the reasons why I think we reacted to the Spencer post, which wasn't trying to knock. Like I think his point of view was plenty valid, and it would have been great in a different format. But it's like, you know, like coming out on day 2 of like, here's why I don't like what Good Vibes Club did. It's like would have been a good conversation that has more context to it, but also like, man, it's like day 2 of people actually trying to experiment and do something different in this space with a new thing that's an experiment, doing something different in this space. So I appreciate that they keep refining and working on it. Like one thing I think we need to get back to appreciating this space is that things can be iterative and it's not perfect. Like, I mean, I'm old enough to remember that, you know, Bored Ape Yacht Club tried to drop they tried to do their first drop in ApeCoin. That was the first ApeCoin utility before the other side dropped. And it was a mess. It was through like Coinbase wallet and it didn't work and it didn't connect and people were problems checking out. And then within 3 months, we were playing Dookie Dash and it was 2 button clicks to get a boost with ApeCoin in a game integrated. Like this is how we grow as a space. And like TokenWorks is going to edit. Like I mentioned the OpenSea Rewards program. I'm sure their next iteration is not going to look exactly like this iteration. I'm sure that, you know, the VIBESTR vibe wheel is going to be edited as they go and they're going to change it based on what they see for alignment. Like all of this stuff is going to be iterative. And it's instead of just like running a classic playbook back, like the way you get better is by figuring out the best way to do things. So I appreciate that we're getting that experimentation. And I want more people to be in that thoughtful process of like, how do we change? Like Serpent's a good example of this. Serpent from Ethos just edits his products as he goes based on the feedback he gets. Like super easy. Like he's like, if you have feedback on me or how we're running things, go put it on Ethos. Like he'll say it all the time. So I don't know. Like I'm excited to see what they change and how they change it, because I think that there is I don't know, there's always there's just always an opportunity to get better, and that's what this space is supposed to be about. And I think sometimes we lose that, where we're just like, I think we just get into this where's my free money, give me my free airdrop to everything, versus thinking about, you know, risk, learn, grow, which is sort of the essence of this space. So anyway, end rant, but I think like it's something that I'd like to see us continue to get back to.
Yeah, I agree. Death Dot Fun?
Oh yeah, let's do some Death Dot Fun. Who wants to do a Death Fun run? Anyone out there? Comment in the chat if you want to do a Death Fun run. We can get it going. If there is somebody who hasn't done a Death Fun run yet, who's out there, wait about 15 seconds for the chat to get back at it. And we will get one of the people in the chat doing it. You want to check I'm going to check the abstract chat and the YouTube chat, but if you want to check the other chats as well, Solomon done one yet? I don't think Solomon has done one yet. So let's do Solomon. All right, Solomon, we're gonna do Death Fun run for you.
King of YouTubes.
We'll do a YouTube one. I'll get you set up, Solomon. So Solomon, you're gonna DM me your abstract global wallet after this. You don't need to go to the abstract chat, Solomon, but you do need we need to redo a Dort run at some point as well too. We can do a couple today probably if we really want to before we're getting ready for Good Vibes Club to warm up. But let's do this. It's time for the Death Fun Coffee with Captain gameplay. Death Fun, home of DGen Dice Laser Party. In the original Death Fun game, bringing the chaos to Coffee with Captain with $3,000 in prizes up for grabs. Tune in daily for your shot to play. And don't forget to use our referral link to play. $20 for the chance to win that $1,000 grand prize. You know, as mentioned, look, I mean, we have the referral link pinned up top. You go there, you click that referral link that you have pinned up top in the space. And you have the opportunity just for $20 in gameplay. You can play one click, get your $20 back, and you are entered to win $1,000 courtesy of Death Fun. So we're going to do this for Solomon first. So Solomon, you're going to DM me your abstract global wallet if you win this. We're going to get maybe one more person. Maybe we'll do another Dort run today. We shall see. But Solomon, I'm going to do the 3 runs for you, and we are going to see what we are going to do here. So, Solomon, I'm going to try to get you on the board if I can. Okay, not great. Not a great run. Want to do my quick clicking because sometimes that works, so I'm just kind of ripping through. So that's 1 run. Hit the red already. Right. Okay, man, Solomon, this is a rough one. We're going to give you a couple more runs to try to get through it because we have now gone right twice and landed absolutely nowhere. Right. Oh, my God. All right, Solomon. I'm going to give you one more run to try to get you on the board, but this is an epically bad run that we're having this morning. We've had some good ones. We've nearly topped out. No way it can be. It's 3 times in a row on the right. All right. Solomon gets one more run, and then we're going to give up on this one because we are having a tough death fund run this morning. Right. All right. Solomon, I'm sorry. We're going to get you out this morning, but we can't get you. I can't keep burning it. It's not working. The right is always never fails, failing miserably this morning. So Solomon, I apologize. We are not going to get you anything in death fund, but get on there and play. We just cashed out after 1 click. We would have made just a little bit of money. But let's do another Dort run and see if Dort has a little more luck than Solomon. So Dort, if you are in the chat, I'm going to try to get you on the board with a run here. It's bad day for death run, bad day in the market. Dort, look at this. First click. We're red. We are just not on a good one, Dort. We are going to do Dort. We're going to give him a couple more runs here and see if we can get Dort going. We're just going to go right. All right, Dort. We're cashing Dort out right now. We're going to try for a God run next. So, Dort, send me your Abstract Global wallet. We're getting you on the board. I still got to get Maria and Teacher Katie's cash out. Got to get Maria's book out because Maria won the book as well. But you are on the board, Dort. So we are going to get you on the board here. We're going to cash you out. It's about $100 courtesy of Death Fund. And then, Dort, we're going to do one more run for you here. All right, Dort. So we're going to go for a God run. I'm going to see if I can get you through. We're going to try to get crazy here. All right. Right. And we're out. All right. Death Fund not working well this morning. Hopefully Cap gets back here soon because we are shutting Death Fund down. We are getting Dort his cash, but bad vibes on the market overall right now and bad vibes on Death Fund. But Dort, you're still walking home with $100 courtesy of Death Fund because we did manage to cash you out there. So you, Teacher Katie, Maria, sorry, Solomon, we just did not have very much luck this morning. We couldn't even get you to the 4 runs. We try to do a minimum of 4 runs every morning, but we'll be doing more of those as time goes on here and get things going. But we got our friends at Good Vibes. So as a reminder, click on the top. We have our ref link up top for Death Fund. So click through there. If you do that ref link, you play $20 in gameplay again, play a couple rounds, cash, go home with more money than you walked in with, and you have the opportunity to win $1,000 or opportunity to win $1,000 courtesy of Death Fund. So one of our partners there. We very much appreciate Death Fund. I know we've gotten a few more players on there. So good luck with everybody. Diego, you just missed it. We did not do a God run. In fact, the opposite of that. We basically hit the red man, we've had some really good work this morning.
That was our worst run, I think.
Yeah, as bad as we've had in the morning. So not great for our runs this morning. But yeah, a few more people coming and using that ref link. Highly recommend jumping in, and if you are if you are comfortable spending the $20, good thing to enter. Still really good odds to figure that out. But Cap, what else is on your bingo card this morning?
I don't know, man. I guess I should turn my camera back on. Trying to catch up with chat here. I saw Dobbins just tagged me in a post, but it's too long to read on show. So appreciate the tag, Dobbins. I'll come back to that in a bit. From BitBoy J just says took a few days to unplug. I did the same. And yeah, I think that's kind of like sums more I'm up. I'm just reevaluating how I want to attack Q4. And I really, everything in me, I don't feel that we're done. I'm not saying like we couldn't get other more pullbacks, more crashes, et cetera, et cetera. I think most things are higher in month, 2, 3, 6 than they are today. I don't see what changes. I just don't see what changes unless, I don't know. The stuff we've had, these liquidation events, they are not really black swan events. We haven't had anything crash. We haven't anything. It's just like over leverage. I don't know. Like the systems got flushed. It's happened a couple times now, and the concern, I guess, is, are the gamblers losing all their liquidity? Is there, and I think in the big scheme of things, the DGN gamblers are such a small piece of the pie that other than certain select assets, like certain memes, that the only people holding these memes are degenerate gamblers, like they may never recover. But most things that have something of substance, it's an incredible time to be building here. And yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a good time. I mean, you talk about the market. I think it's a good time to assess your risk. So I know we have like markets down, and a lot of people's vibes go with the market. Cap mentioned like listening to Modern Market. Our friends over there, he's like, look, I'm going to get depressed listening to Modern Market. I can't keep doing that. My recommendation to anybody out there is make sure you assess your risk, because we talked about this on Friday or on Monday, I think yesterday, when the market had mass liquidation on Friday. I didn't feel much of anything. And the reason I realized that I was a good spot I was in is because it meant that my strategy was pretty on brand. Did I feel bad the markets were down? Were I hoping that things were going to be up? Sure. I'd rather see number go up. I'm vaulted on Flow. I'm vaulted on Katana. I have a bunch of Katana that I'm earning on there on top of like the yield I'm earning on the things that I have in that vault. Like I'm earning their native token for when they TGE. I'm, comfortable with my liquidity pools, which I'm top 700 on Project X, which isn't super high, but not super low, as I try to, go in and out of liquidity pools to try and capitalize on market volatility. I will say I'm opening wider liquidity pools at this time, because if you see a pump fund token down 40% in a week, and I have U pump on one side of my liquidity pool with hype, if I open it 10% instead of 4%, I'm going to have a much wider distro to let me collect fees, which are going to be smaller fees, but it's also not going to push me far one way or the other, and it gives it a chance to recover. It's almost like a way to do a silly little long and short at the same time. I just think that for me, I think it's a good time, if you're listening, to reevaluate your strategies and what you do in the market. Do you just want to hold spot? Great. Do you want to be more stabled? Awesome. Like I still have some stables I need to deploy that because I was on the Polygon list. I got paid out in stables. I cashed the vast majority of that, but kept a little in stables to fire off if I so decide. So I think understanding sort of like what your risk profile in the market is so important to anybody who's out there. And like there's a tweet I saw yesterday that Stats had put out, and who knows if it's true, it's on Reddit, but it's a person who's been dollar cost averaging in Bitcoin since it was like $400 or something. And they liquidated all of it because they slowly got a little more, and then a little more into leverage, and a little more into leverage. And next thing you knew, they were completely liquidated. And my big thing that I want to implore anybody to do out there is, I've gotten into DeFi recently. Like I said, I was on Liquidium because my strategy was, I don't have enough Bitcoin. I want to stack more Bitcoin. I'm going to place bets on things where the loan to value is under the offer on Magic Eden. And then I'm going to put those out there. So I'm either going to make $20 in Bitcoin as a dollar cost average in whatever 4-day time period that is, or I'm going to sell the asset on the open market and make more money immediately accepting the bid. Things like that are how I've played the market in the past, and understanding my sort of goal, which is sort of stacking sats, stacking ETH, stacking SOL. And so I just think it's a good time to understand that profile, where some people are there, some people are in their 20s and they're like, fuck it, I'm going to take mass leverage. And if I get liquidated, I have another bucket to go back and make it all back. That's okay too, if that's your risk tolerance. Cap plays a lot of perps. I don't play as many perps because I don't think I'm very good at figuring out and timing the market properly. And so I'm very careful about those things. So I just think you mentioned setting yourself up. I think it's a really, really good time to ensure that you understand your personal strategy. And by the way, I talk with friends and people all the time. I talk about this in the war room, the DJ Network war room. I talk about this in DMs. I talk about this in telegrams. Figure out your strategy, man. Again, vaults are something I really like. I really like the idea of using a Katana vault, which is just a white labeled vault that takes my ETH, takes my, my stables, earns against them. By the way, Katana, I've said this before, and I'm only hurting myself by saying this. Polygon and Katana are still the most underrated discussion points if you are talking about Kaido leaderboards, because they have so much to talk about, particularly Polygon. And Katana deposits it directly into your Katana vault. Like, in 2 months, I've gotten like $1,000 deposited into my Katana vault by not even being that high in the leaderboard. And that's earning yield. And that's earning Katana token. And I don't have to think about it. And it just shows up in my wallet. Like, there are so many opportunities that exist in this market, good or bad. And I would just encourage people to figure out what their strategy is in a time like this, because I feel like we're going to stay volatile. I still feel like directionally we still have tailwinds. Nothing's changed about the story. It's just the macroeconomic stuff that's going to continue to be, troubling. But I don't know. For me, it's like figure out your strategy and roll with it.
Yeah.
I know Oxy has a hand up. We'll let Oxy get in here. Oxy probably heard LP, and that's like the bat signal when you say liquidity pool. So Oxy, yeah.
No. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That I love the LP discussion. Maybe what I just wanted to speak to a little bit is I completely hear you. I'm a huge fan of the modern market, and I'm on there a lot. But the portfolio comparison discussion, or like not comparison, but like relative portfolio that you have or I have compared to what someone like a legendary might have is very different. And it's the hard part is trying to like listen to what these guys with bigger portfolios are saying, and then like reevaluating your own and then applying it like you're saying now. It's like, okay, what's my underlying strategy? Is it to stack more Ethereum and sats and so on and so forth in small dollar amounts and just slowly build up? Or I guess, are you going for more of a hero trade? It obviously changes based on who you're talking to. I think at the core of all of this, if both you guys and the modern market folks is we're here long term. We're bullish long term. No matter what, I think all of us are in the same boat. We're here to build in this ecosystem, in this industry. And 10 years down the line, if like we're bullish on that 10-year horizon or what have you. I think at the underlying core of all of this, the messaging is the same of just survive. Like at the end of the day, don't blow yourself up trying to like make that 100x or what have you. Just survive in this space. Like if I look back to 2021 and like the friends I had there where we're trading NFTs and we just got into the space and whatnot, I would be willing to bet there's probably 5% of those people that I came up with in that time frame that just left because they're like, dude, I lost so much money on NFTs or whatever it might be. And like, I think people don't really take that into account enough. Is just like just preserve your stack. Like just hold spot somewhere and don't touch it, or don't or like if you want to stable up at a certain point in time just to like preserve that a little bit more. I mean, I think that's like taking profits is like the best thing you could possibly do ever, and people just don't do it enough. I guess all that to say is just try and survive. Like don't blow yourself up, because we're all here for the long term. Everyone's on the same page. 10 years down the line, we're going to be in a better spot if you just hold spot and you survive through the ups and downs of this industry.
Great take. I mean, I would just add that to take profits is sometimes taking profits. Like my take profits this cycle is taking profits straight into Bitcoin. And I don't care if it crashes $20,000, because my target is $1 million plus Bitcoin, and I'm not phased. To Steve's earlier point, the trading I'm doing is to accumulate more Bitcoin. This, by the way, hot off the presses, Zero Hedge talking about the math on nuclear power plants needed for AI by 2028. Money is not the problem. AI is new global arms race. CapEx will eventually be funded by governments. If you want to know why gold, silver, Bitcoin is soaring, it's the debasement to fund the AI arms race, but you can't print energy. Elon responds, true. That is why Bitcoin is based on energy. You can issue fake fiat currency, and every government in history has done so, but it's impossible to fake energy. Like, and to me, this is why I keep my bullish hat on, is like, that's just getting started. Like, that part of like this currency debasement, and it's not just us crypto natives who are bullish Bitcoin long term. Oh, Bitcoin, like, what do you think happens when that statement just becomes reality for governments across the world? Like we've talked about, not just digital asset treasuries are getting spun up to as some Ponzi for savvy investors. I'm talking about nation states and like actual strategic reserves. I did see something, I didn't verify it. I saw the U.S. government sold like $70 million of Bitcoin or something yesterday. I don't think it was real.
I doubt it. I don't think that's true at all. Like, I think that would be a thing we would. Cynthia Lummis would be. She would have it out for that.
I don't think it was real at all. But again, just like goes to show that like that probably got some people to sell their Bitcoin yesterday. Someone shit posting and making shit up. The stuff we dreamed of in 2021 is finally now starting to happen. The last thing I'm going to do is stable everything up and watch it happen in front of us.
Yeah, like you just don't want to get like to Oxy's point about like holding spot. Like
all that said, a lot of the tokens that are traded with the highest volume, all of them could go to zero. Like the disclaimer we have in the beginning is not just some disclaimer to cover our ass. I mean, kind of it is, but the reality is most of these assets could go to zero. I just don't see, I think Bitcoin, ETH, probably Solana have escaped that. Like they now have real fundamentals. In the case of Bitcoin, as I think it's the best positioned asset, more so than gold and silver. I know I'm going to buy a seat, but as more energy gets gobbled up, I see that having a tremendous positive impact on Bitcoin.
Looks like U.S. government just moved some wallets. Maybe they're trying to duck some taxes. I kid. No, it's Oxy was champing at the bit to get that one in because he's sitting there on stage, but it's like we're rambling and running. But no, appreciate that, Oxy. The context on that, the multitasking, a man of multitasking. Also, I can't trade. I want to work with I Can't Trade on content because I Can't Trade. I don't know. I got to think about it if I have time to do so. I Can't Trade is very sharp, puts very good takes out. Trying to figure out how to like sort through some of them though, because it does get like, and this is not a knock on the guy. I mean, I Can't Trade's crushing it right now as far as like very directionally right. So worth a follow if you like. I'm a long form reader, so it works for me. But I think definitely, I don't know, I Can't Trade. If you could do video content or some things or snippets, I think there's some opportunity, some graphics, some AI graphics. That's your answer. I Can't Trade. Get some dope AI graphics and start putting those together in charts and things because you've got good content. And you've been ahead of the game, and we definitely appreciate you being here and helping continue to educate us. But Oxy's point about holding spot. I mean, I'll say it again. I've said this before. I was in Bitcoin in not as early as a lot of people, with the 2016, 2017 timeframe. I was buying Bitcoin and ETH. I think Bitcoin was $4,000 when I bought it, maybe a little less. I can't remember. ETH was definitely down pretty low there at that time. And I was buying it because I believe in the story. I was telling people why Ethereum was like going to change business forever. And I got shaken out. I didn't have a good crypto Twitter conversation, good crypto Twitter community. I didn't have a really good community in general. And I got shaken out in 18, 19, whenever that crash happened, crushed me. And if I'd been DCAing from then till now, I'd be in a great spot. So when Oxy talks about like holding spot, taking profits, again, I implore everybody to establish a strategy. You want to do something that's really fucking eye-opening. Take your assets you have on chain, your NFTs, your tokens, etc. Put the big ones and even some little dust ones, if they're above a certain point, have a threshold, put them all into a spreadsheet or find a portfolio, a tracker that you can copy and sort of paste over. And ask yourself if you're comfortable looking at that. Because if I had done that in 2021 when my, NFT portfolio was ripping upward, if I had done that in 2021, I probably would have sold some NFTs and I would probably be in a better place right now. So like, look at your portfolio, establish a strategy, understand what you want to do. And like, look, there's a reason I dollar cost average $50 into Bitcoin every week. I'll also tell you, like, you need motivation. Perfect example. I got a Bitcoin credit card. It's like, if you hold over 10K, I believe you get 2.5% cash back on it in Bitcoin. If you hold over 50K, you get 3%. Not at the 3% point yet, but it gives me a shooting point to be like, you know what? I kind of want to own 50 grand of assets on Bitcoin, so I'm getting 3%. And if I move that money over there, if I'm able to move some money off chain onto that platform, Well, now I'm going to earn more against it. So like there's some forced savings mechanisms you can put for yourself, including cashback credit cards and crypto, because and again, it's kind of funny because like, of course, I'm in crypto. I'm way over leveraged with a, disproportionate amount of my net worth compared to most people in crypto. What I need is a credit card to get more crypto is probably not the right answer. But like, I think for a lot of people, like there is, that opportunity to DCA into things like Bitcoin and other assets. So anyway, long story short, just make sure you get your strategy, make sure you understand your strategy, and make sure you're very, very careful with how you go about it. But anyway, Cap, I know Monad airdrop is live, but it's probably going to require some trips to other countries to do. Sounds like the sign-in page isn't quite working for some people, so you got to
make sure you click the official link. Go to the official account only. Yeah, it's not working now. Just be patient. It happens almost every time. Don't click any random links.
This is how airdrops work. So make sure you are very, very careful about how you go with things and sign in. And it sounds like there's some issues going, but let's bring in our friends. Let's talk some good vibes. Sound good, Cap?
Let's do it.
All right. Ty, Chris, gentlemen, live from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. How are you doing today, gentlemen? Fresh haircut on Ty over there. So he's he's establishing himself as the clean shaven of the bros. But gentlemen, been a crazy week. How are y'all doing this morning?
Dude, feeling fantastic. Honestly, really excited to chat about everything that's been going on. It's been a huge week, crazy week. Man, what a time.
I'm entering my bald founder arc, so I had to shave off all the hair.
Now, speaking of bald founders, we just got to rip the Band-Aid off off the jump. We'll get into like sort of what the vibe wheel is. We'll get into that conversation. We saw one bald founder who was sort of critical of your strategy with Vibe's strategy, and Spencer. He was, obviously somebody who I don't think it was meant. I think Spencer is actually trying to look at things from a factual perspective and what his opinion is. Had some disagreements. Before we get into like the overall crux of the disagreement, I'm less interested in that because I think like we can debate all day and we'll get into what Vibe token is. But as a founder, when you see another founder sort of jumping in, so you see your community probably getting a little bit up in arms and upset. You see certain people responding and saying, look, the market's down. What are we doing here? How do you pick and choose as a founder, whether you want to jump into that conversation, whether that's the format, jump into the conversation? Explain what goes through your head when you see this post and you're like, I'm just sitting here trying to run my VIBESTR strategy. We're 2 days into this thing. We're getting critiqued by another bald founder. How do you approach when you see that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Like everybody's running their own business and, managing their own community. Obviously we're heads down focused on what we're building. I at first when I saw it, I wasn't actually going to respond. I was like, it's clear that, he's in the midst of, their rollout with Burb and they have, prior commitments and plans around that. And that's not like, I don't really have a dog in the fight, so to speak. And so, our goal with Vibe strategy is really, we view it as like a mechanism to give back to the community that, makes Good Vibes Club what it is. Like that's what I think completes the loop in terms of how we're handling the rewards and whatnot. So like, obviously, with change comes, a challenge to the status quo. And, what Spencer's, on the path of with Burb is, the status quo. It's, dropping a native token. We've seen it, with a lot of other big communities in the past. And, without getting into the specifics about my own personal opinions on that and, what led to like us, making the decision to adopt Vibe strategy as our native token, about the comments specifically from Spencer, like I think he raised some, valid points, but I think that he clearly missed some like really fundamental reasons as to why strategy tokens, in my opinion, are, this really pivotal moment for everybody in this space. And they're bringing forth like a new way of doing things that I think personally, and we think is going to fundamentally change how, the NFT space looks in the future. Due to a variety of different reasons. So, to answer your specific questions, like when you actually decide to speak up, it's like at a certain point, not saying anything says something. And, you as a leader to your own community and what you're building, you owe it to them to, respectfully have discourse and, say your piece in a way that, in my opinion is a net positive. And so like, obviously like I would have preferred to just have a conversation one-on-one with him. I'm, me, like my my style is not to be like out, like it's a part of it as a founder, sure, but like that's not really like my whole MO. Like I said, we don't really have a dog in the fight. Like we are doubling down on what we believe in is the future for the space, and I think that we're taking a lead role in proving out how this model can look for everybody. That, in my opinion, is a net positive for what collectors have wanted since the beginning of time, which is there's this idea of like this ongoing or this one-time airdrop that people farm, and it inflates the assets on the way up, and then you have this liquidity event that definitely benefits not only the team, but potentially folks on the cap table as well, not potentially but specifically folks on the cap table. And then what happens after that big liquidity event? You see the price of the assets fall, a lot of people leave the ecosystem, collectors who have really appreciated the art and collected that have formed this like really like fabric of the social construct of the community are essentially left like picking up the pieces and say what's next. And so with strategy tokens and the way that there's liquidity guardrails into the NFT collection itself, I think it provides a mechanism to flip that on its head and provide a meaningful ongoing way of aligning incentives together with our community. So long-winded answer. There's so much there that we keep diving into. So, but yeah, I wasn't expecting it to pop up over the weekend like that. But I feel like saying our piece in terms of what we believe in is the future was the right move.
I love that.
I think you were the first ratio of Spencer the Fencer. At least that's per me. You were the first time I've seen Spencer the Fencer get ratioed that hard.
Yeah, I mean that's like, again, like that's not my goal is not that. Like my goal is really just to communicate and stick up for the real like core like fundamental principle that we believe in, which is better together. And that's why even in my comment to him, I said, listen, I think that you can do a lot for your collectors by, maybe, having a conversation around this, because I genuinely believe that as a space, like we're in a small pond. If you look at the total volume in crypto, like NFTs account for what, like less than 0.5%. And we feel so different. There's, within NFTs, you have high-end art, you have PFPs, you have gaming, all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, a rising tide raises all boats. And so, I think that the network effects of, this idea of better together is really important. And so I think that, honest discourse around that is a net positive.
I think that's why it landed so well, is because your style, because you're not a shit poster. You're not out there PvPing. You're giving your genuine, authentic, professional, viewpoints. And it was a good conversation. And it is this sense of, hey, this isn't PvP. We don't need to be taking shots at others. There's multiple ways to win here. And yeah, I think how you've handled yourself, you guys are very active on the timeline. You're jumping in a lot of conversations, and it's not often that it's anything but good vibes, right? And I think that, so then when you do have something that's not all, rainbows and fairy dust, but has some, real candor to it, and, checking someone else who, it kind of came at you for, I don't know, any other reason than he was feeling a certain way because he's in a bad spot, right? Or maybe not bad spot's the right way to put it, but challenging spot where had a strategy token launch, wasn't in their cards, wasn't their plan. They planned to launch their own data token, and it's like, okay, this threw a wrinkle. This is something else we have to solve for now. Let me put on and tell you why our way is the right way, as opposed to like, hey, there's multiple ways we can all win here, and there's not just one way to this. And yeah, I really appreciate. I said it, I think last week, how it seems like all of your moves from the jump have been very thought out, very intentful, not just with the wind or the latest meta. I say all that. I'm guessing like prior to Punkster, I'm assuming you guys had no idea about these strategy tokens or TokenWorks, or have you known and been working with Adam for a while, if you're able to share?
So, what's interesting is like, we've talked a little bit about my background. I was early Reddit, like first 100 or so employees. Reddit was started in 2005. For about a decade, it grew in spite of basically anything it friggin' did as an entity. So there was like this whole idea of better together and the network effects that come with it. Like their business model is predicated off volunteers. People moderate subreddits. Over the years, they built all these amazing tools and third-party apps. Their API was open until recently. After their IPO, they made some moves with the Google deal. for licensing data for LLMs. But, we saw all of the things that communities would build for their specific community, like together from this holistic POV, really drive what we would build from a core product standpoint. So, eventually, shipping features, the redesign, et cetera, I moved over to the crypto team, and I was the first person on it. My vision was to build, this kind of similar concept as the Punk strategy. You have a Reddit native token, and then you have, tokenized subreddits where, different communities on Reddit, they rally around different ideas and sets of values, et cetera, and interests. And you can provide them a set of features to, build on top of it and do all these amazing things. And so the inherent value of the Reddit native token would have been the cumulative value of the subreddit tokens. And so when I saw, Punk strategy, I immediately said, I want this for Good Vibes Club. I have worked on something like this for a long time and trying to build it at scale in a large BDC company like Reddit. And I knew that it had the foundational pieces in terms of how it funnels liquidity back to NFT collections, how it acts as a decentralized guardrail for communities to do specific things on it. In our situation around collectors and badges, it's going to look different for high-end artists and other NFT collections. And I knew I wanted it. And so, for us, it was a no-brainer move to say, hey, let's build around this, because I mean, it's no secret that we could have made a good bit of money personally had we launched a native token. Like we've said from even before we minted, like we don't think that that's really in my opinion, what's in the best interest of our core collectors. It never really felt, what we wanted to do or what we were aligned with. And this, I think, flips that on its head, given how liquidity moves into the NFT collection and what you can do with that liquidity to get back to your community. So for me and us, like I knew immediately that this was what, we wanted to do, and we doubled down and called our shot and took it. Now we're in the position of proving out the model for how it could look for this new era of NFT collections moving forward.
It's almost like you came along, like the timing on it worked out really well, in the sense that I think that dropping a token for a lot of it, like I've said this before, like a token is a product. And like when people are like, we're going to drop a token, I'm like, you're going to have a whole nother business unit to manage. Obviously, y'all are kind of managing this one all the same. You are definitely, managing and doing some work with this particular part of it. But talk about your decision. Mason, obviously in the chat, Mason's here every morning. We love Mason. We love the Mason. Mason, is mentioning the concept of alignment. You could have dropped your own token and probably printed a nice solid 7 figures for yourself. So why do you make a decision to say, we're doing this model, we're working with them? Hey, you saw it, you kind of liked what it was. It could have been at Reddit. You like this idea of this model here, but like, there has to be a little bit of you that's kind of looking at the 2 buttons and seeing the money there and being like, look, like we could totally kick ass at making an awesome token. And then we could also make a lot of money, but instead you're aligning with this one, which also moves the NFTs a little bit. So talk about, like, to me, like when you're making those decisions internally, because again, I think a lot of people, they see the end result and they think it's cool, but what's going through your internal discussions with y'all and the team? Like, did one of you bring it up and the other one was like, fuck you? Or did one of you bring it up and the other one was like, yo, this is brilliant? Like, what does it look like in something like that?
Yeah, more the latter. Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
We were in alignment off the get. For me, I think that, like, I saw very early, like, the power of aligning with community and what it can do to build something, incredible long term. And that's always been our goal. I think that this solves a huge issue that we've seen in, NFT collections, which is, we're in a small pond. This funnels liquidity. It connects liquidity to the actual NFT collection in a way that we haven't seen from any native token launched yet. Fundamental belief in ours, we share, that market demand is going to drive what the future looks like. Now, if you're launching a native token, you have to consider, how does my native token actually impact liquidity going into the NFT assets? They've traditionally been disassociated. This aligns them together in a way that I think, is more in line with what we've all wanted, as participants in the space as collectors. And so, sure, you forego a big payday not launching a native token, but is that why we're really here? Like, I think that the reality is we can build something, sustainable and really game-changing for the space long-term with our community by doubling down here. And I will say this, like, when you talk about like a native token and you go through the legal rigmarole of setting up a foundation, all the lawyer costs associated with it, and what you can or can't say, what you can or can't do. TokenWorks actually deployed the token. And so we actually market bought our share as a company with our community and personally. So what that does is it's a different level of motivation. So instead of printing value out of thin air, where you're like, okay, sick, we've launched this NFT collection, we've managed to cultivate community, we're now doubling down in alignment with what our community cares about to do incredible things. It's like you look at Rect and what they did with their brand coin. They gave away equity to holders, and then they said, we have this physical product lever with revenue that we can kind of inject into the ecosystem, et cetera. In my opinion, strategy tokens are like an evolution of that concept, where you as a founder or a team or a project, you can align with your community in a way that moves liquidity to the ecosystem, that raises it up, but also you're able to give back to the people who make it what it is. And so that's really what we're doing with our badges in the rewards pool. I think the idea of that, circular flow back is really the vibe wheel, and on an ongoing basis, it's really important. But hopefully that answers your question in terms of what do those conversations look like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that you do that y'all have been pretty strong on since the beginning was you do this deep dive into your badge system, which I've always liked. I've actually said, look, this is how I think sometimes we throw the baby with the bathwater, where we were like, oh, everything that existed prior to Web3 is a bad thing. And it's like, no, there are good things in there. And one of those things I like is the concept of tracking loyalty through badges, creating a collecting mechanism. I look at our guy. We know he's rocking the big one. He's like a mascot, but Dort is our, one of our good friends here. And, looking forward, I'm going to see him in about 2 weeks, friend of mine. And he looks at his badge and he likes collecting. He likes owning them. And he says I want to be part of this community. I like owning these badges. And you integrated that. So for people who miss kind of the actual vibe wheel itself and what it is, can you give us a little bit of the background of the badges, what people are able to collect through there? Because it's you have badges for the amount of VIBESTR held. You have badges for people who buy from the strategy wallet, which is, I think, really, really smart, right? It's they buy from that. But if they sell that NFT, that badge goes. Talk about how you thought through introducing your badge system into these mechanisms.
Yeah. So I actually built badges at Reddit as part of trying to tokenize subreddits. It was part of the community point stuff. And that actually, the infrastructure for that later became the digital collectibles and the NFTs that Reddit did. So I've already built badges in the past before. I've thought through the mechanics of it, how to reward, certain behavior, how to align collectorship with community in a way that, stays true to the fabric of it. And so we built a cosmetic badge system. We started it directly after mint. It was tied to some of the different traits in the NFT collection. Our NFT collection is high-end art, and the badges are representative of it in terms of how people curate their collections, what NFTs they buy, et cetera. So after after VIBESTR launched, we also added Vibe strategy badges for the amount of token that people hold, as well as a Vibe bounty badge. And so the idea of the Vibe bounty badge is if you go out and you buy a NFT that's listed by the strategy contract on either NFT Strategy's website or Gandhi, then you get this badge. So by buying that NFT, you essentially the money.
Can we pause there real quick? I wasn't aware. So did I catch that? To get the badge for the ones that are in the vault, you can only buy them on the NFT Strategy website or Gandhi? Is that right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that a contract thing? Explain that for I had missed that. Is that what?
They're not right. They're right now not listed or indexed on OpenSea.
Okay.
So there's been some ongoing contract work that Adam has been, doing between every launch, essentially to try to improve it. And it's, when you have the entire space trying to break your shit for personal gain, it's really tough to
Shout out to Quit, by the way. I didn't understand what he did or what he's doing. I just saw a lot of really big brains giving Quit a bunch of flowers for his, I guess post. I don't know what he's doing. He's auditing some of these stuff. He's saving some people. Just shout out to Quit for all his, work keeping the space safe and auditing unaudited contracts and all that good stuff. But yeah, a lot of intricacies with this NFT strategy launch. And sorry to cut you off there. I think it's exciting. Part of what excites me about this entire thing is we're experimenting on chain again. And that's before we get too far, before I forget it, I want to give you both kudos for that. It's to Steve's earlier point, you could have easily launched your own token. And I say easily. I know there's a lot of headache and other challenges that come with that, but there was a playbook that's already been built there, right? Like you could have done the thing. We know how it would have played out. The NFTs would have pumped up as they would have priced the token, and then the token would have dropped. The NFT floors would have crashed. It's like we've seen that not a flywheel play out and going the different path. And this has brought out a lot of new challenges. For instance, like what you just described, like I'm someone who've been supporting this, been paying attention. And I even said on the show last week, I got FOMO to buy one of these from the vault because I want that badge. Wasn't even aware that I had to go to Gandhi or the strategy to buy them. So yeah, thanks again for experimenting on chain and innovating, not just yourselves, but with these other teams. And this to me is part of what we talk about being on the bleeding edge of tech and finance. It's like, let's bring back some of the fun tech and do some things differently and try some new shit and break some stuff. And yeah, I just long want to say a way of saying thanks and appreciate all that you guys are doing beyond just, keeping the vibe good.
Dude, I really appreciate you saying that. It's hard, it's a big risk, right? When you come out with something new and say, actually, this is our ecosystem token. And not only that, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And, there's like opinions of people in the space, whether they think it's a good idea or not, or it conflicts with their plans. And there's a lot you have to navigate in online communities are very complex. So, it means a lot for you to say that. I really appreciate it. One thing about the badges, I just say, is that we did make an announcement today. Our community is full of collectors, and we have this whole badge system. And so for our season 1 rewards, we are going to include all badges, not just that bounty badge. So the bounty badge will still get its special treatment as part of season 1 rewards, which we haven't actually published the mechanics of doing so, and we will transparently publish them before we launch. But that's the big, announcement from this morning is that, we're listening to our community. They said, collectors are really important, so we want to include them in. And we know that, but we want to include them in season 1 rewards.
Go ahead, Cap.
I just not to toss tough questions at you, but I don't want people to think we're just tossing you softballs because we are big fans. So I want to share some things I've seen on the timeline. I don't quite get it. It's not my perspective, but I'd love to give you a chance to answer. One of the concerns or challenges I've heard is or downsides with the vibe wheel and in this flywheel strategy is that it's made all good vibes just fungible, and they're just now people are just there's no desire for aesthetics or rares, and I hear that, but the data doesn't seem to be supporting. I think I just saw this morning or yesterday that 20% of the sales are still above floor.
Yeah,
you want to address that, like.
Absolutely. And I can kind of briefly speak here. Like, I think that it's been really cool to see, despite like increased floor action and a lot of, the machine doing what it's supposed to do and designed to do, we are still seeing a lot of collectors go out and reach for cosmics, go out and reach for these grail pieces that they still love. Like, if you look at our highest sales of the last 7 days, I think that there's still like a lot of golds moving and a lot of community members kind of getting really stoked and getting this awesome opportunity through VIBESTR to get their gold that they were never able to get prior. And so this idea of kind of connecting things in a way that benefits everyone, I think is super powerful. And it is cool to see people still value those rares and those grails, even when, there is so much floor action, which is obviously healthy for the entirety of the ecosystem.
Yeah. I will also say that you probably will see it reach an equilibrium too. 20% of our sales have been above floor. Crown sold yesterday. A couple really core community members that were in our private Discord in 2022 got their goals that they've been wanting for a while. Shout out Rizzy and Jay Haas. Y'all are the best. And so, obviously with all new things, there's a lot of attention to it. Right now, we have I think there's like over $1 million in the liquidity injector just splashing into the floor every 10 minutes. And we haven't seen it deplete since we launched our token 5 days, it'll be 5 days at noon. I keep getting how many days it's been wrong.
And don't forget the 1-of-1 sale that went out to DGMD, like a week or two ago. That was pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's cool to see, for me, I always I'm very similar. I watch sort of the floor and a little bit above it for ones that have sort of the traits I'm looking for, the things I'm looking for, and everybody has their different sort of perspective on that, which I think is a lot of the ethos of a large part of your community. Along those same lines, though, like one of the things that you try to do, like you got a great community. I think, Discord's popping. The vibes in the timeline are always good. Anytime we have you guys on, we see a really great response. I know you're active in Discord. But one thing we do see is that there is 25% unique holders on the Good Vibes Club. Because I think there's a lot of collectors who really like that. A lot of the collections, sort of the apes, the pudgies, et cetera, are usually around 50% plus. How do you balance the concept of expanding that community to be like, hey, we want more unique holders but we also kind of love that Dort has like a whole like Brady bunch of different types of good vibes. So like, how do you balance those two things while trying to say, hey, we encourage you to collect and get badges, but also we want to get more people in the club?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's something we talk about all the time. I think that there's a net difference between a collection launching at 21 at the like peak of interest in NFTs, and then when we launched, which was like the bottom of interest of fear and greed, basically, since FTX collapsed. And so, one thing that, we've been very thankful of is the amount of art appreciators that we have in our community. And so we've seen people curate their collections. That's, a big part to why we actually minted out in the market conditions that we launched in. But it's also, reflective in our holder percentage. And so I think the interesting component of all the liquidity circling around with strategies is that it gives you more to do with that, right? So like, for example, we earn 5% royalties on the NFTs. Great. That's a liquidity lever that we have. We have the commercial animation studio that we still partner with brands and whatnot. Great. That's another liquidity lever we have. We have the 1% protocol fee from the actual trading volume on the fungible. Great. That's another liquidity lever we have. And the strategy token itself gives this surface area to exist for speculation that's really outside of the NFTs. And so, as you kind of, take from one hand, give to the other, and circle it back to the community, I think that you can, use some of that in order to run giveaways for new folks. I think that there's a lot of stuff that we've been talking about in terms of how do we actually go out and, bring folks into the community. I think that the ethos of Good Vibes is something that is widely applicable. And, naturally what we've seen since we've minted about 7 months ago is, folks tend to find us that are attracted to that idea. And so for us, it's about walking the walk.
Yeah, I love that. I love that concept of, just trying to like, sort of thoughtful expansion as you go. And I get it. And also like trying to balance that with the right people. Cause I think like, again, like you get some of the collectors who are like, you will pry this rare out of my cold dead hands, which means that you're probably not going to see as many of those sales happening. So tracks for me makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the different levers you have to pull where you have things going on for the company, and you've got sort of your business that you've done. You've got all these different pieces that go into it. How big of a role do the sort of contract with collection enforced royalties play in helping you guys continue to do all the things you want to do? Because I mean, we pull up the royalties regularly and we'll see a collection from 2021 that does a ton of volume and they'll make like $10,000. And we'll see a collection that you pull up and in a week, you'll do 6 figures of volume because of people, and so it's almost like the Vibe Wheel helps, whether VIBESTR's buying it or people are buying them, you're collecting those royalties bit by bit. How much does that play a role in letting you be empowered to do what you do and almost give you a competitive advantage over maybe some similar collections?
Dude, like the mechanics exist today to run a sustainable business without an inflated burn rate and a cap table that you might be forced into certain decisions. Like the mechanisms exist today in order to maneuver as a brand in the way that you want. And so like we saw that with this, like we, obviously Super Rare has been like day one partners for us, but we don't have a cap table. Like we bootstrapped our company. We built it over 7 years. We put it all behind Good Vibes Club. We've been organically growing it. We've been conservative with our burn. We know how to run a business, work with the best brands in the world. So we have the business expertise. The levers exist today with, royalties on the NFT side. And now also with, the 1%, protocol fee from Vibe strategy, it just adds another layer to it. And so, our whole thing is we win together with our community. And if we optimize around how can we bring those folks along for the ride with us, similar to how Obi thinks with Rect, then I think that that's where you strike gold in a market that is maturing, that's changing, that market demand is going to drive what companies choose to do in the future. And so that's kind of our double down bet. But having the royalties is actually a nice part. Now, are we completely relying on our royalties for, revenue and how we run the company? No, not entirely. Does it help? Yeah, for sure. But, I think that's, kind of the benefit of not even having like second mover advantage, but like fourth, fifth, or sixth mover advantage, if you would.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do you go ahead?
I've never put it away. We talked about the other day. I was not expecting $250,000 in royalties in a week in the year 2025. Was that anywhere in the realm of your expectations? Is that you're meeting expectations? Is blowing it out? You're like, oh, we're just getting started. Like, is that? How do you feel about seeing $250,000 flowing in royalties in the past week?
I mean, we were basically just like, shit, we want to mint out, like it wasn't that long ago, dude. Like ETH was at 650 when we minted. Like we were like, it was a 12-hour day. We minted out in the last minute of 12 hours, so it's like, we're just grateful to be here, and I think that we're given, an incredible opportunity to do right by a lot of people by bringing them along for the ride with us. And so and I could speak for Chris, like we're motivated by that. And, if you would have told me like, oh, royalties are going to be doing $250,000 in a week, like, of course you want that. Like your vision is like, I know we have what it takes to, build something really, uniquely different and successful in its own right. But, your expectation is, realistic along the way. And so, for me, and I know Chris feels the same way, I'm just grateful to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good to hear. And it's a thing where it's like, yeah, like seeing that sort of like, again, people keep using the term flywheel, but it really is what it is. I mean, by the definition of how it all works together. So I dig that. I really think it's interesting too, because I think a lot of these strategy tokens launched and people just said, okay, this is a cool thing. Yay for us. And they maybe like gave it some likes, some retweets. You did deep dive. You talked about a little bit of why you did the deep dive. I'm curious. It's funny. When I was at Progressive, we did this thing where we started reporting our financials monthly instead of quarterly. And the reason was it lowered volatility. It was better for the company. It helped us keep an upward trajectory. And we're like, everybody's going to copy us. Nobody copied us. Everybody still reports quarterly. They actually like that mechanism. Do you anticipate a world where more sort of NFT brands sort of, follow your lead a little bit here and say like, look, we don't have to manage the actual token itself. It's good for our collection inherently. It's good for our collectors. Or do you think more people are just going to say like, fuck it, token liquidity event? Or do you think people are going to say like, you know what? Like this actually works pretty well. It removes a little bit of a headache. Yes, we got to manage some stuff here. Like, do you anticipate more people will follow your lead of saying like, hey, let's dive deep into this thing?
Dude, I don't even anticipate it. I know it's happening in real time. Like the conversations that I've had with many founders, they're like, they see the potential and what this means for the future of the space. Like that's, I think, I mean, zoom out from just what it means for just one NFT collection. Like I think that the incentive alignment with your core community members is fundamentally different. And the guardrails and how it moves liquidity into the NFT collection is fundamentally different than any other native token that we've seen. And so, I have several thoughts around like, TokenWorks, adjustment in their plans, how they've maneuvered, and we've obviously been in close contact with Adam in company in terms of, how we can help, really raise the tide for everyone and what we're doing with the Vibes Club. But I know for a fact there are several founders that are very interested in this that I've had many conversations with at length, and they know that not only do they see the value in it for their community, they know their community wants it as well. And I think that you will see a fundamental shift in market demand around a model like this. Now, where it's really tough for these legacy NFT collections that have a native token already. It's like, you have, what do you do with two, tokens in your ecosystem that more or less compete with attention? And so I think the challenge is going to be for those folks in terms of like, how do you manage that? Like, how do you activate around that? So, I think that we're at a fundamental shift. We're early. There's a lot that we, can and will do to experiment with it. And we're going to see other folks do incredible things too. And I think that's a net positive for the space.
Yeah, that's actually the kind of the direction I was going to go with it. And so I want to keep tugging on that thread, which is how like I think there's this macro conversation of like people look at like crypto and they see founders, they release NFTs, they release more NFTs, they release more NFTs, then they release a token. And then it's like, okay, guys, look, we tried, we experimented, we're out, right? There's like not necessarily a lot of creativity. There's a lot of people following like the same old playbooks. So I'd love for you to expand on the idea of like what I liked about this, and it was hard to articulate, so I'll do my best here, but you kind of said it there a little bit, which is it's not just that you did this and it aligns with who you are. It's not just like you're doing this for your collectors. It is a fundamental shift conceptually to say we're doing something that takes money out of our pockets on paper from like a token drop, out of the traditional model, and instead doing something that is creating a mechanism within our ecosystem that supports our collectors, that supports a new sort of model that's going to empower us to do more. I wonder if you think, like you talked about, you hear more founders doing this. In those conversations you're having, do you think there's a world where, because there's sort of different timelines, you could trend to the dystopian timeline where it just becomes extractive and people are looking at, and there's always going to be those people. Do you think we're going to trend towards this world where people are going to say, you know what, like, there's an opportunity to actually do more to like create more value creation? And because I think a lot of people are like, I do this, I make my money, I get out to my next startup. A lot of people are serial entrepreneurs, which is cool, but also not cool when it's like 2 years out, exit and do that thing. I'm talking to people like that. You're like in this position where do you think we're potentially going to see a domino effect in the market where we actually see alignment with all participants versus just those at the top? I do actually, because, you know, I think that, again, it goes back to this idea that it's a pretty small pond. And, you know, of course, you see people experiment and try new things on chain, and not everything works. Like, you know, you see, like in every launch of the strategy token, for every community that's launched one, something has changed. Like there's been some, you know, unique twist to it. And, you know, some of them are, you know, really good for their situation, and some of them maybe didn't work out the same way that they had planned. And so, you know, I think that as you continue to see experimentation, you continue to see in real time, like the potential of what can be done. Then you have, like, imagine a world in which a new NFT comes to market and they consider their strategy token launch and they go to market for it. I think that it completely changes how you maneuver moving forward. And so, you know, if you're a participant in an NFT collection and you in a community and you have an NFT, like everybody from the dawn of time has said, what does this do for me? Like, how does this benefit me as a holder? I contribute to the brand. I show up every day. You know, I've built meaningful relationships, and I think this closes the loop, you know, in terms of how you can give back to those folks. And, you know, in my opinion, there's 20 to 30% of every single NFT collection that rotates hands on the floor based on speculation. And so you take that speculation out of the financial NFT assets themselves, and you put it in a place where you allow it to exist in a way that's healthy for the NFTs. So people can speculate on the tokens. There's a lot more liquidity in fungibles floating around. I mean, shit, it was just like 2 weeks ago, OpenSea did a $100 million day in revenue or a trading volume, and 85% of that was fungibles. So you say, hey, the speculation can exist over here, you know, around the fungible token, and it funnels the liquidity to the NFT collectors in a way that is a net positive for them. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that thought process too, where it's like, look, like there's kind of markets for everybody, and they don't have, and this is how markets form. It's like there's this sticky combination of everything, and then suddenly you start to see these things separate, and now you have this world where you can sort of say, like, look, collectors over here, speculators over here. I know that we're heading up against time here, but I gotta ask, like, so give us some sort of alpha of something that's next. Give us some teaser of what's next, a thing that like people can get excited about. It could be something related to rewards, something related to utility, something related to, hey, more merch. We love the merch. Give us something we got a lot of good vibes listeners in here today. So give us something to wet the whistle.
Dude, so we had made a big announcement today that our season 1 rewards pool is going to be, you know, inclusive of all badges. I think that is the novel concept here in terms of how we're, you know, building on top of our strategy token. You know, I think if you take a second, you think about what are some of the novel things that people have done in the space. Like you look at Ovi, for example, and inspiration with Rec. Like how you engage with partners now looks different if you have a strategy token and you're setting up this flywheel or vibe wheel in, you know, in how you actually maneuver around it. I think that we have some exciting things in the works with some partners coming up that I think are going to be, you know, really interesting to not only our holders, but also folks who have, you know, Vibe strategy token as well. And so, you know, we have to, you know, be a little bit pointed in how we move in what we do, but we're constantly experimenting. We got some fun things in the works for sure.
Love that. Look, I mean, like, it's just what's one of the things that I find fascinating about this is like, I find myself looking to hold Vibe strategy as a collector, which is usually not what you say as a fungible token. You're holding it to flip, you're holding it for money, you're holding it maybe even as a community member, but like holding a fungible token as a collector is an entirely new paradigm. So I think like using that with the badge collecting, it just changes. Like, I think it's not just changing the way people can think about non-fungibles, but the way people can think about fungibles. And I just think the creativity around that is so interesting because it's just, you keep talking about community alignment. And I know people will kind of like roll their eyes when we use the term flywheel or community alignment over and over and over again. But I think it's just the best, most appropriate, elegant way to say it, that there is a flywheel here. There is community alignment, and you are continuing to sort of build in a way that helps out your community. So, look, that said, I know we're running up against it, but any other thoughts or things that you wanted to get out there that maybe we didn't hit on this morning related to VIBESTR, related to anything Good Vibes Club related? We always appreciate the teasers of what's coming down the pike, but anything else you guys want to get across before we let you get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're butting up on almost 100 ETH burned of pump strategy from volume that we've done in the token, having launched 5 days ago. So you look at the network effects of, you know, other folks doing unique and interesting things with their own strategy tokens and how TokenWorks is approaching new launches. I think that, you know, we're on the precipice of something that is going to fundamentally shift how we all view the space moving forward. I was thinking about something as you were just talking, which maybe it's not like that novel and crazy, but like I think the psychology around the 10% tax is really interesting, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it on the timeline. Like, you know, you think back to, you know, when royalties were enforced for all NFT collections, like there was this psychological component of, hey, I have this asset, I have to hold it beyond some delta in order to, you know, realize some amount of gain, and it puts you in a different psychological state in terms of holding. And so I think that you're kind of seeing that on the fungible side too, right? Where you have this 10% buy and sell tax. And so, like, to your point about saying like, oh, I'm viewing a fungible as a collectible, it's like, you know, this like psychological impact of there being this tax that's higher than pretty much any fungible, you know, I personally traded, you know, myself. So, you know, it's a really interesting like concept, you know, to kind of think about in terms of the psychological impact that it has on people. But I mean, it's exciting. I think we're witnessing, you know, experimentation and change in real time. And, you know, for us, I think like, you know, our goal is to do right by our community and to our people. And I think that as much as we can champion this idea of better together, not only in how we kind of help other projects come to market with their strategy tokens and conversations we have behind the scenes, but also in terms of how we bring our community along for the ride with us, that's ultimately the goal.
Love it. Well, look, appreciate both of you for jumping on today. Appreciate the conversation. Really excited about this. I love the concept of collecting. We like the Good Vibes Club. Cap and I are both rocking our honoraries this morning. Love the art, and it's one of the, there aren't a lot of collections where it's just like people shop trait based this deeply, and you've built one. So congratulations to y'all on a very thoughtful business strategy. You know, the competing or complementary skill sets that we see out of y'all as brothers is really awesome. And look, appreciate both you very much, and we'll continue to be supporters of the brand, and we're a big fan.
Dude, thank you guys. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for having us on. It's awesome. Awesome time.
Just congrats, massive congrats on the success. It's not just the financials, the royalties. I mean, it's bringing fun back to collecting. And I had it pulled up a little bit ago. I'll pull it up again real quick. Charis, the AI, says not only, you know, hearing the two of you talk, not only the more he listens to the founders of Good Vibes Club, the more excited I am, not only about the future of the brand, but also the future of NFTs. And I agree. I feel like we've gotten, I mentioned the innovation and experimenting on chain. I feel like the space got a little stale, and it was just running back the same playbooks from 2021 and announcements. And day we're getting a pre-claim of a claim. It's like, we don't want that stuff anymore. Just build with us, build in public, share your vision, your plans, and continue. And the other thing, you know, we haven't even hit on today, but we see it in the chat. We've talked to a few other people. Is, I need to come up with a better word for it, but the whale management, the communication with your collectors, the being in the trenches with them, that stuff matters. You know, people that are supporting you want to feel heard. They want to, and it's not that you got to change every time a collector or someone says, "Oh, I don't agree with this or do it this way," but being heard and knowing that you're there, and it's just that you're showing up on the timeline and spaces and in Discord, like all that stuff adds up, and it's hard work. So again, just congrats on all the success. Thank you for breathing some life and some innovation back in NFTs, and on behalf of all of us, we appreciate you.
Dude, thanks so much, guys. Y'all are the friggin' best. This is really fun. I know I did a lot of talking, but Chris, obviously, none of this is possible without creating something really amazing, from an artistic POV and everything. And so we're excited for the future, and we really appreciate you having us on.
Anytime.
We appreciate y'all. Sweet.
Awesome.
Cap, good conversation as always. Like, good dudes. Like, and again, like I'm like the part that I think Ty got across there that really gets me excited is I'm so excited about the idea of experimentation to align with collectors and holders, because inherently a non-fungible token, like we talk about it all the time. We buy stuff, we vault it because we love it. I want a squiggle because I want a squiggle. I want you know what I mean? Like I want the thing that I want because I want it, instead of making it like our big complaint with blur farming and everything is to turn non-fungibles into fungibles. And I think getting one you like it's like for me, like a good vibes club is very different in where if I buy a good vibes club off the floor, I tend to buy one that I like, and then it's a lot harder for me. Like I've had these discussions where I was kind of like, figuring out and trying to trade in to get one that I really like again. And sort of like, I've obviously moved things around based on like my personal, like financial situation and things. But like when I like shop around and I'm looking at them, I'll look on the floor and I'll see what I like. And then I won't get it. And I'll be like, damn, I missed it. Like I get upset. And then I also have to struggle about which one I'm going to sell. So it's a very cool thing where it's like, look, like there's somebody who's going to look at like the floor now, or they maybe want the Good Vibes Club, symbol, or maybe they want, like, I always look for ones that have hair that match my hair, right? It's like stuff like that where I'm like, okay, I can vibe with this. And people are like, okay, yeah, I can see why you would like that one. And again, when you buy them, it's not a flipper's economy. You're buying them knowing that you're going to end up having to pay a royalty, which means you're going to have to sell it significantly higher, which means you're basically saying either A, you think this thing is going to continue to go up, or B, you're excited to hold it. And so I think that there's a lot of really cool things that they're doing, and just a big fan of them as a brand, and big fan of the way that they think about things. And like the fact that they saw this, I saw Token Strategy, and if I was a founder, I'd be like, oh, it's cool. That'll help me. Maybe I'd promote it a little bit. The fact that they approached it with such creativity is just that's a lot of dev work and a lot of thoughtful work that went into it. It's hard. God, it's just hard to, it's hard to find founders like that sometimes.
Yep. And I genuinely feel they're good guys. I feel like they truly have not just their collectors' best interest at heart. I think they're good for the space. And man, like, yeah, it's exciting. They made $250,000 in royalties in the past week. They don't need it. They have another viable business. Like that's, I think so many legacy crypto native brands from 2021, specifically in the NFT PFP space, they missed is they've relied on royalties. It was their only revenue source. And you just heard Ty rattle off, I don't know, 6 or 7 different royalty sources, different revenue levers. And the biggest one is of all, despite their $250,000 in royalties in the past week on the NFT trading is Toast. They have a real business that has real clients. And if the royalties went away tomorrow, they're fine. Like they're not going to go away. They don't have to stop doing stuff. And nor do they have to just continue to sell. And again, we like the merch. The merch truly is extremely high quality, but they don't have to just have a merch drop every other month to keep the lights on. Like it's just, they have a lot going for them. And I still remain hopeful that it's stories like Ty and Chris's and Good Vibes Club that attracts other entrepreneurs to the space. How often have we talked about, you wrote a freaking book about NFTs and what this could do for the future of loyalty reward programs and so much more than that. And I think we're getting a glimpse into that here. It's like, I don't believe we've seen yet the final state of, and again, maybe it's different for all. I love that he referenced Ovi several times and Rect and how they're building that brand coin. Like there's something here, really, truly something here. Loyalty rewards, they're just better on chain. There's more you can program against it. And we're not going to get to that end state if we don't have founders and leaders like Chris and Ty experimenting and doing new stuff. And you know what? Not everyone's going to land. I saw there's some people that are still a little frustrated about, oh, my rares aren't as in demand now because everyone's going for these vaulted ones. Like, give it some time. It's just hit. I don't think that to be. Is there more buyers right now at this very instance looking to go buy one that's in the vault so they get that extra badge? Yeah, sure, but I don't think I don't think they're not leaving the collection, right? They're not devaluing their rare. Some people are just making moves because they want to collect another badge, and I think sometimes you just need to let things play out. And I trust them in the sense that I do genuinely believe they have not only their collectors and their community, but I think they have the space's best interest at heart. And I said it before, and I mean it. It seems like all their moves they're making here are very intentful, very thought out. That doesn't mean they're going to be perfect or never have a miss, but it's just how they're navigating. I wish we had a lot more Ty and Chris's leading NFT brand, Steve.
It's high effort. It's thoughtful. It's actually caring about what your community wants, what you think is best for them. And I just think we don't see it as often as we could in this space. And like you said, I mean,
they haven't got drunk on their own success thus far. They're not. I don't feel the ego or the ivory tower that we get from some of these individuals. That's like, oh, like our way or the highway. Floor it and get the F out if you don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's refreshing. Refreshing is the word that keeps coming to mind. It's refreshing.
Yeah, it's refreshing to have the conversation and see people like that who are kind of running things well. So I appreciate it very much. And like they're not getting drunk on their own success. It's not, and it's again, like you look at, like, I'm not knocking anybody who experimented and tried things, but like a lot of times people lose that experimentation and just dive into like, how do we make the money? Or they take the funding from the VCs and they got to make that money. It's like, we've talked about Pixel Vault, a ton on this show, but it's like, Pixel Vault had a really cool novel mechanic. Like they started off with this idea of like, you own a Punks comic, you stake it. That earns you over time fractional shares of these crypto punks we own. So you'll own pieces of the most, elite asset in all of, NFTs, like just by holding these, punks and staking. Okay, that's cool. All right, and that's going to get you access to punk comics. Cool. All right, that's cool. It's like a story they're telling. Then it's like, and now we're going to sell you 47,000 planets. And then we're going to sell Adidas tracksuits. And then we're going to do this. And it's like, next thing you know, we're going to be involved with a soccer team or something. And then we're going to drop this token with punks. And we're going to drop this token with POW. And then, okay, we're going to an arcade. And it's like, what are we doing here anymore? It's just, when you think it like this, it's just, this is experimentation and thinking about your holders in a way that I think is just very, very different. And it's not, I don't know, it's not greedy. It's not crappy. It's very, I don't know. I appreciate that. So I think that the way that they approach it is, I don't know. I think it's kind of thoughtful. The other thing I'll throw out there, I pin this to the top. I'll share it as well. I'll pull up the tweet in a second here. We talked about at the beginning of the show, the idea of like higher, lower, like people getting upset, people getting worried about like where the market's going directionally, et cetera, et cetera. This tweet was interesting this morning. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says Bitcoin and the crypto market to expand rapidly. So I kind of, my thought on this was like, the timeline says it's over every time we have a market pullback. BlackRock, whose assets under management are greater than the GDP of Japan, Germany, and Canada combined, says the crypto market will expand rapidly, so much higher. I think this is another one of those situations where it's like we get so caught up in our own shit, and TradFi's like, man, like, Aspiring Nobody has a really good comment on this one here that I like.
No offense to your favorite KOL, but Larry Fink is a little more dialed into the markets than they are.
Exactly. He's a little bit more, and it's funny because, this Aspiring Nobody, our guy, responds to this and says, they must literally laugh at the masses running around like chickens while they sit there in their ivory tower and press buy, buy, buy. Mm-hmm. Little in sync reference there if you change the spelling up, but buy, 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 buy. They it's true. It's like you look at like how they approach the market, and it's like they're not looking at it as a like, oh my God, if it's not up tomorrow, we're screwed. It's like they look at the market and say, long term, this thing's going to expand. The infrastructure, like it's one of the only sort of things that has financial tie to it with infrastructure that you can, it's just, there's infrastructure in crypto. So that aspect tells a story. There's financial aspects. So that tells a story. There's ETFs. That tells a story. There's NFTs and loyalty, and that tells a story. There's so many different stories to tell. There's collectability. It's just, I think people are having trouble wrapping their arms around crypto. And I just think in 10 years, we won't. I just think in 10 years, as Zoomers and Gen Z and Gen Alpha grows up, my kids at age 24 are going to have no problem understanding the concept of digital. And I just think that that's just a shift that we're going through right now.
I agree. I was going to have the same comment. I saw your quote tweet of Larry there, and it's like, relax, like don't overtrade, go touch some grass, just DC. If it's too much for you, if you think it's all going to zero, just DCA, you'll be fine. You don't have to play all the games. You don't have to LP. You don't have to play perps. You don't have to trade memes. Just buy Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and chill. Like it's not that difficult. You don't have to get down every time there's a 10, 20% pullback in the market. It's not the end of the world. All that to be said, I just pinned up top the summary from Tyler. Tyler did it on the announcement this morning from the Monad airdrop. If you missed it, going extremely wide, not only 5,500 community members, but 200,025 crypto traders. Monad community getting the most allegedly. Power users across EVM and Sol also rewarded. Monad cards and social graph rewarded. Contributors and builders included. Portal open until November 3rd. It's not actually a claim today. It seemingly is a get your spot in the line for the claim. The claim portal that you have to verify ahead of the November 3rd deadline. It's open until November 3rd. So basically, Monad airdrop not coming this month. It won't come before October or November 3rd when they close the portal. And we've said it a few times previously. Not going to beat the proverbial dead horse here, but I'm old enough to remember when like it wouldn't be 225,000 crypto traders would get an airdrop. I'm old enough to remember when it might have been 10,000 holders of a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. Not good enough anymore, Steve. If you're holding basically any NFT from Azuki to Chimpers to CryptoPunks to Doodles to Fluffle to Hyper to Mad Lads to Meebits to Miladies to Moonbirds to Pudgies to Redacted Romelio Babies to Sappy Seals, Solana Monkey Business, and Wassies, and more, you qualify for some Monad, not Bored Apes though. And
which is, again, this is the biz dev thing we talked about. And again, we love our apes, Ape Fest coming up, all that good stuff. But it's like,
it's probably like 10 cents. It's more on the principle. It's more on you mentioned like Ty and Chris, the high effort. They're doing the work. They're putting the work in. I don't know. Unless someone at Yuga pissed off someone at Monad and they're like arch nemesis, you can't tell me that someone on a biz dev team, if there was a biz dev person at Yuga and they reached out to Monad and they said, hey, we'd like to get our team included, what can we do? You look at like Spencer and Moonbirds, which are previously owned by Yuga, and within weeks of Spencer acquiring them or months of Spencer acquiring them, Moonbirds got in line for, I think, a couple of claims for this Monad airdrop or some perks or something was minted over there. Like, it takes a little bit of effort. Like, get out of the bubble. And again, it's not a money thing. I don't care about the 27 cents I'm not getting and I have all those other NFTs. I've got a card. I'm going to be eligible for a claim. I truly don't care about the 27 cents I'm not getting for holding an ape and a mutant and a coda and other deeds and not that counting nothing towards a Monad airdrop. But it's time to look at yourselves in the mirror a little bit. If anyone's listening in, 250,000 people, I'm going to say it again, 250,000 wallets are getting rewards, are being able to participate in a Monad airdrop. It's one of the most anticipated airdrops for this cycle. And seemingly no one from Yuga reached out and asked if they could participate. Maybe they didn't.
Are we sure they're not the and more there, possibly? I mean, it is possible they're in the and more.
That'd be even more embarrassing. It'd be even more embarrassing. You're talking about the number 2 priced NFT, and they're not even listed, like that would be with intent if that's the case.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're talking PFPs, obviously. You got punks, now apes. They just recently flipped pudgies after the recent cascading loan liquidation cycle. It's for all intents and purposes, it's punks, and then you got apes and pudgies, and then everyone else. And pudgies are included about everything, and apes, because I don't know why. It's just it's a miss, man. It's a miss. You know, Ty and Chris said, what is holding this NFT doing for me? It used to do a lot. Now it gets us into Ape Fest.
Yeah. Which, again, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to being in Vegas. I'm going to be I probably have a whirlwind of the next few weeks. I'm traveling to New York early next week. And then the next day, I'm going to get on a plane and go to Vegas. And then I'm going to fly from Vegas to Boston to speak at Harvard Law School. And then I will finally be back home for a couple of months until, you know, maybe Basel and our end of the year, you know, trip things that we're gonna be going on. But yeah, man, I feel like we're taking crazy pills. And I would love if somebody at like one of these teams could tell us like why, because like I'm saying this not snarky. If somebody on one of these teams could explain to me why, like the comms thing, like why there's not like membership directors and comms people, and why there's not brand building that kind of identifies their sort of who they are and what they mean to people, why they don't have an internal rallying cry of like, this is what it means to be a pudgy penguin, a bored ape, or whatever. And then why there's not a biz dev people. Like, these are three things that like, we just keep pounding the table on these things. And I'm not trying to be oversimplified, because it is hard to run a brand and a company with everything else you have going on. But if there's a team or a person on a team who could tell us why it's hard to do these things, or why these things don't make sense to hire or pay for with the money they have, I am all ears to understand. Because oftentimes I ask a question and someone gives me something I didn't realize. But like, we've been saying comms and marketing for 4 years. We've been saying membership director for 4 years across all of these NFT collections. And we've been saying, you know, now like for probably about a year and a half, biz dev person. I don't know why they're not a priority, if they're just unaware, if the rest of the community doesn't care and we're just in the minority. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm at a loss on this one. And man, I don't know, like even like with branding messages, like a whole lot of people saying flywheel and community alignment and alignment when it comes to Good Vibes Club right now. Seems like they did a pretty good job agreeing upon what they were going to say externally, how they were going to say it. Like whether it was agreed upon or it was natural. Mason in the chat this morning talking about alignment. Ronnie talking about alignment. Ty and Chris talking about alignment. Alignment. What do I hear from the community? Alignment. What do I think about that? I see it from community members. I see it from other people. You know, flywheel. Vibe wheel. Plan flywheel. Why? Like people are like, oh, I don't have to hear about the flywheel with this again. But guess what? Like it's working and people talk about it. And it's hard to find more eloquent ways to describe it. And like the branding stuff works. So I don't get it. Like it's 3 or 4 things where it's like, I don't know why people haven't tried. I don't know. Like, and so I don't know. Kazi's in the chat over there, or Kazi's in the chat saying 2 reasons: cost and inexperience. Most owners too inexperienced to understand they need it.
Not anymore. That's like maybe with some, sure, but I don't. There's many people that have been vocal about wanting this stuff at this point. It's seemingly becoming with intent.
Yeah, or just like prioritization, right? Like intent, or like, you know what, like this, you know, this is not a priority anymore, right? Or this part isn't a priority, or we got to focus on this part. And it's like, you know, I've been said before, like maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm incorrect, but from where I stand, like a brand can make more money, sell more things to members, have a more loyal group. Like there's a reason why Pudgy Penguin collectibles sell for thousands of dollars. There's a reason why a red hat from a Bored Ape Yacht Club drop was selling for $10,000 on eBay, because members care. It's like, you can sell to those members because they will willingly buy your product. Like it's like when Apple had a great brand and a great cult, and they still do to a point, but like when it was really hardcore, people lined up around the Apple store to pay $2,000 for a piece of equipment that was marginally better than their current piece of equipment. Like brand, membership director, all these things, like, and then the one we're talking about this morning, the biz dev person, it's like
I like it as this. Like, it's the easiest biz dev maybe ever. Like, I used to have a cheat code when I'm in Verizon stores that a lot of our business, I don't know, let's say 20-30% of our phones we would sell every month, they came from local businesses that were, some were national brands, but local employers. Like, we'd open a new store, and my first thing I'd do is I would Google largest employers in this area. And anyone that had more than 500 employees under one roof, we'd reach out to the HR manager, the benefits coordinator, and be like, hey, hi, I'm Chris. We opened up a new Verizon store up the area. A lot of your employees are eligible for, or all your employees are eligible for a discount. Most of them aren't aware of it. How can we help spread the word? And it was outreach. It was business development that cost me nothing. And oh, by the way, the person I was calling on didn't have to make a financial decision. It cost them nothing. It actually helped them do their job better because they were a benefits coordinator, the HR manager. Their job was to get their members, or employees in this case, better benefits and perks. And I was able to offer them a free perk that cost them nothing and their employees loved. And it drove, and so they would put flyers in their break room. They'd send out email blasts. They'd put payroll stuffers in when that used to be a thing. And it led to a lot of business because the person that was working at a State Farm insurance agency that only had 12 employees in their office didn't realize they were eligible for a 20% off their Verizon bill every month. Again, cost them nothing. Same thing here. This business development's the easiest biz dev in the world because you're asking people, they don't even have to make a financial decision. They're looking for more community. They want these strong communities to be a part of what they're launching. They're looking for this.
I mean, clearly 250,000 wallets. I mean, it's like, which, by the way, side note, I'm still getting an AT&T discount from when I worked at Yakima Valley Memorial Hospital 20 years ago or whatever.
I have friends from college that are still to this day getting Sprint discounts on their Sprint bill. That I signed them up for an IBM discount back in 2002.
It's like 25% or something insane that I've been getting, and it just stays on. And like, I haven't changed as a result of it. And it's like, it's not even called that. It's now called Virginia Mason Memorial Hospital. But I get the thing. It's like Yakima Valley Memorial discount, taking the money off your bill. I'm like, that's a good motivation not to switch anything. Because I'm not employed right now. I mean, this is my job. I'm sort of unemployed, retired, talk about market, whatever it is we do. And yeah, man, like it's
coming for Sun Front. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
YouTube, we just hit the 200 sub mark on YouTube.
But yeah, your point of like, where
seriously, shout out to all of you who went over to YouTube and gave us some love over there. I think that's pinned up top all the way to the right. If you've not yet, let's celebrate 200 subs today with the one day we hit 200 subs. I actually don't even pin it up top. I'm gonna go grab that now. Sun Front sitting at 979. We're probably not going to beat Sun Frontin to 1,000 subs, but every sub counts. So I'll drop it up top here, and let's go give our guy Payne some love for holding things down over there. I'll drop it in the chat, and I'll also pin it up top. But yeah, appreciate all of you, all 200 of you, and only a 5x from here, Steve.
Yeah, only a 5x. Simple in a market like this, but. No, it's just these are the things where it's not a call out to you guys, all these brands. It's like, I understand they work on a lot of things behind the scenes and it's not easy and we don't always know what goes on, but like, damn, man, like the biz dev thing, like outsource it, the comms thing, outsource it, the brand stuff, spend a week with a team doing a brand building. In fact, there was one time a large, I'll tell you offline, like a large company in the space was like, hey, we want to really whiteboard this thing out. We want to talk about it. I'd love to, bring you into New York City, do some of the brand building stuff, do some of the, partnership stuff, like kind of identify where we stand on the different parts of our business. And I was like, awesome. Looking forward to doing it. Followed up, never got taken up on it. That company still is without one. It's like, you want to see these things like succeed, and we want to see these companies succeed. It's like, spend a little bit of time, assign it to someone else. I don't know, man. It's just, you see it and you're like, it's a lot of wallets getting that Monad airdrop. Well, maybe, I don't know, like the site, I've tried the site periodically and I'm getting the same error message over and over again. So I'm probably just I'm probably not getting in line anytime soon. Maybe I'll try again later. But from one of those countries that has a smaller GDP than BlackRock, perhaps. Maybe that's the trick. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see, buddy. But in any case, Cap, any other parting thoughts before we let everyone go off in there today?
Diablo just says, I get the impression Face is going to melt at the news dropped at A-Fest. I hope so. Not just for bags, but like I've shared this with leadership offline. I've shared it publicly. Like they need it. There's a lot of pressure on A-Fest announcements to thread the needle because there's a lot of just like looking for like a tangible update that's not just other side or ape chain, which is great. It's cool. I'm glad people are having fun, but what is the club? What does it mean to hold a Bored Ape? Answer that question. I think it would be helpful for a lot of people in the community that we used to have very clear definition and very clear vision and very clear path forward, very clear pillars. And now it's just guessing or rumor mills. And it's just not a good thing, man.
Yeah, it's
not a bags thing. It's not a floor price thing. Like I guess I care, but I don't. Like apes at 8 ETH or 18 ETH doesn't change my life at all. I care. I'm passionate about the club, and I don't know what the club is anymore.
I think that the tricky part that you said there is just to like, again, give the comms perspective on it. And again, this isn't unique to just Yuga, but it is like a thing for sure. There is a very
Yuga in the sense that they've been at the top. They're seemingly still near the top, and they went away from a lot of what made them great, and a lot of what made the club great. And the club is still great because there's a lot of great individuals around. But I'll say the quiet part out loud that a lot of these club members aren't saying on the timeline because they don't want to offend someone or upset someone. Like, want some clarity, want some vision. What the hell is the club? And maybe we get that next week. If not, like, there's going to be people who leave the club. It's just a brutal reality. There's a lot of people that are waiting on Ape Fest announcements to determine, like, is it a club they still want to be a part of or not? Because we don't know. We went so long without any real updates, without anything. And then you see shit like, and again, it's just easy because it's in the news today. But you see like, sappy seals are getting priority over apes for a monad airdrop. It's like, come on, man, be better. Be better. You should be better. Like you have the motion, you have the community, you have to do the work. And the work is more than just Ape Chain and other side. I love Ape Chain. I love Ape Coin. I love other side. I think it's awesome what they're doing. I think it's really cool to see all these avatars popping in there. Above and beyond all that, above and beyond any, like, I'm most passionate about the club. It's what changed my life in crypto. It's what brought me on chain. It's what immersed me here. It's what opened so many doors. I don't want to see it go away. I don't want to see it become a digital artifact on chain. It's not the club.
Well, and like the tricky part with it is, I mean, obviously there's a lot they're managing there, but I think the tricky part is that just to go back to what you said from like a, pure sort of comms perspective, like it is tricky when you don't, like I mentioned at Progressive, we started reporting monthly on our financials, which we thought everyone was going to copy, and then they didn't.
By the way, real quick interjection. It was some Baker rant the other day, and they were like talking about Baker and how he's like the golden child of the league right now, and how they actually brought up how like he got shit in Cleveland for his Progressive commercials.
Yeah, when he wasn't playing well, people were like, why is he on commercials? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
You got like you popped in my brain when they're talking like giving Baker Mayfield love and dunking on the Browns, and they singled out his Progressive commercials.
I mean, it was like, yeah, it's just there's a lot of things. I was a Baker guy. I didn't want to draft Baker for some flag reasons, and then when we did, I was all the way the fuck in. So like, I was all in when we drafted Baker, and then he won a playoff game in Pittsburgh. I think I mentioned this yesterday. The Cleveland Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh since 2003 in the regular season. Like, if there is an adult drinking alcohol legally who has never seen the Browns win in Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So like him winning a playoff game in Pittsburgh is a pretty big deal. So I didn't want him to go. But point I was going to make is like, look, like when it comes to this communications cadence type stuff, it's like, if you don't give updates, if you're not constantly being in touch with your team, if you're not showing things you're working on, if you don't give any sort of teasers, anything, and then you say, we're going to uncork everything at our event, like, it's a lot of pressure on that event. And the chances are you're not going to please everyone because different people have different expectations. Some people want an IRL clubhouse. Some people want another token drop. Some people want to see ApeChain continue to go. Some people want another side update. Maybe they'll have all of the above. I'm excited to see what they're cooking for sure. And I will be there to support and be excited about it. But like, I feel like I have a constant cadence of communication from VFriends. I know what's going on with them. I know not everybody's as plugged into that community as I am, but like, you know, I had a call with someone yesterday on VFriends and they're like working on a potential thing. And like, it's just like, I had a call with someone yesterday about VFriends, just asking me about VFriends in general. And I could tell you 27 things that you could do for VFriends if you worked with them, or if you like, you know, talk to them, or if you wanted to be part of the community or their, you know, group chats you want to go in, because they're constantly going live. They're constantly releasing products. They're constantly talking about what they are. They're constantly like talking about what the brand is they're building. They're constantly dropping things to help people make things seamless for each other. They seem to have a direction. They seem to have a brand. Like, I can do all that. And I think a lot of these brands, like, they don't do that as much, which I totally understand. I'm not saying everybody's going to be Gary fucking Vaynerchuk, right? I mean, he's good at this stuff. He's been doing it for years. But yeah, if you do, as any brand, if you say big announcement coming Art Basel, and then that announcement isn't an absolute face melter, like, you're going to have people leave. Like, you made the comment that people won't say out loud. Like, I've heard people being like, yeah, sort of the future of the club, I feel like, is hinging on this Ape Fest. I've heard people say that. I know that might be hyperbole. I don't know. But it's probably not hyperbole for those individuals who maybe the future of the club is, if they're going to continue to be part of it and participate or not, feels like a turning point moment. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it regardless. I'm looking forward to see what happens. And, we'll hopefully get some really good stuff, and we'll be equally excited and bullish. We tend to be after a lot of Ape Fests, so we'll see. But yeah, definitely a lot hinging on that. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. That said, anything else before we let everyone roll out?
You can, as long as you register, you can go buy a Telegram sticker for $2 tomorrow. You got, or register by tomorrow.
Yep, I got to do that. Got to get that done with my Ton wallet. I know that there's a lot of people moving to Telegram. Heard probably a conversation for another day, but I heard B-Check this morning talking about like Telegram being more valuable than the timeline with their Telegram. And I actually think the modern market Telegram is super valuable. I do think you can curate your timeline. I do think there's some good stuff that can happen there, but I think Telegram can be super valuable for a lot of people. And it's good to see communities gathering there, and maybe a little bit better than Discord for some, not as much for others. Just depends on what your preference is. But
they did just change that, by the way. They extended the deadline one more day. So you now have till tomorrow at midnight for cutoff. Then the sticker pack will drop Thursday, the 16th.
Yeah. Maybe a little hyperbole, by the way, with all the, you know, the things. Whale claims this is 9/11 for Monad cardholders. So I have no idea what that means. If that means there's no airdrop coming, I wasn't able to get through the site at any point. So I had no idea if there's.
I mean, they said Monad cardholders are getting it. I think maybe it's 9/11 because some of those people thought those 5,000, 10,000 holders were going to be getting outsized rewards, not realizing that anyone who's interacted on a blockchain in the last 2 years, minus Sport Ape Yacht Club holders, are going to be getting the airdrop.
Kev is on one. All right. Appreciate everyone coming through this morning. Good chat. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.